The more you lack something, the more you have to pretend you don't care. It's a basic flaw in human psychology. The way Liam acted like it was nothing to him proved just how unnatural he felt. Something clicked in Cassandra's mind. Once she saw his behavior through that lens, every one of his reactions was a clear symptom of jealousy. A small smile touched her lips. She arched an eyebrow, her gaze locking onto him, sharp and direct. During a lull in the performance while the audience chattered amongst themselves, she spoke again, her voice a cool blade. I'm leaving tonight. I've already had Evelyn arrange the flight. As soon as this show is over, I'm gone. Keep pretending, she thought. Let's see how long you can keep this act up. Liam's attention snapped back to her. His eyes darkened, his focus sharpening on her face. After a moment of heavy silence, he said only 2 words. Seems sudden. Outwardly, Cassandra's expression remained a mask of indifference, but inside, she was blooming with triumph. She kept her tone icy, feigning regret. It is. I thought I'd have more time. I didn't expect it to be over so soon. The statement was deliberately vague, layered with meaning. I thought I'd have more time to pursue you. You thought I'd be pursuing you for much longer. Either way, the implication was the same. All she wanted was a reaction. She wanted to see him hurt for her, jealous for her. But Liam just smiled. It hasn't been that long, has it? And besides, every show has to end sometime. So you never thought this would last from the very beginning? It was a genuine question. Her game had shifted from wanting to see a reaction to desperately needing to know what he was thinking. Step by step, she was falling deeper, throwing all caution to the wind. You could say that, Liam replied with infuriating calm. He picked up the pitcher of ice water, poured himself a glass, and took a small sip. I never expected it to last long. Cassandra was floored. This had started as a simple test of his jealousy, but now it had become a referendum on the fragility of their entire relationship. Did he really see what they had as that meaningless? His refusal to fight, to show any emotion, to act as if any of this concerned him. It was like he'd pressed the detonator on the bomb in her chest. Fine, you win, she snapped, her voice tight with fury. Her chest felt like it was tied in knots. She shot to her feet, her face a mask of rage. If you think it was never going to last, then let's end it. Just like you wanted. I hope you're happy. Without a shred of hesitation, she turned and walked away. As she disappeared, Liam's voice, almost an unconscious reflex, called out after her. What about our bet? His words were swallowed by the rising tide of audience chatter. Cassandra didn't look back. This time, she walked without an ounce of hesitation, her exit clean and final. Liam watched her back until it vanished around the corner of the staircase. Only then did his expression collapse, his eyes growing dark and heavy. He instinctively pressed a hand to his chest, a bitter, self-mocking whisper escaping his lips. So, it turns out I can still feel my heart break. Downstairs, the lobby was a chaotic swirl of people and noise, the air buzzing with post-show excitement. Dozens of conversations washed over Cassandra as she reached the main entrance, where she froze. Her gaze drifted over the smiling, laughing faces around her, and a wave of dizziness washed over her. It was just a little test. She just wanted to see how he felt. How did it end with her running downstairs alone? Why had she said those things? Cassandra, why are you down here by yourself? Where's Liam? Rory, who had been chatting with some guests by the door, noticed her standing there in a daze. She offered an apologetic smile to her companions and walked over. Cassandra blinked, her mind a mess. The restroom, she lied, her tone flat. Oh, Rory nodded. The restrooms are that way. This is the exit. You're going the wrong way. Cassandra didn't answer, remaining rooted to the spot. Rory's eyes glinted with understanding. She leaned in closer. Did you and Liam have a fight? Don't be ridiculous. Why would I fight with him? Cassandra's face flushed, the clumsy denial tumbling out before she could stop it. Rory gave her a knowing, worldly look. She turned to one of her staff. You guys handle security out here. If anyone asks for me, I'm unavailable. With that, she smiled and reached for Cassandra's hand, but Cassandra instinctively pulled away. Rory wasn't fazed. Don't get me wrong, she said with a gentle laugh. I just want to talk. Let's go somewhere quiet. It's too loud out here. Cassandra's first instinct was to refuse, but Rory gave her no chance, gently steering her by the shoulders toward a private lounge. Come on, what are you so shy about? I don't bite. I happen to like that kid Liam a lot myself. If I were a few years younger, I'd probably be chasing him, too. The moment they stepped into the lounge, Cassandra spun around, her eyes fixed on Rory as she closed the door. Her voice was arctic. What did you just say? Rory locked the door and heard the glacial tone behind her. A shiver went down her spine. She immediately went to a cabinet, pulling out 2 bottles of red wine. Hey, relax, will you? She said with a laugh. I was just kidding. Besides, I'm 40 years old. I'm not about to start robbing the cradle. Hearing that, the icy hostility radiating from Cassandra thawed slightly, but the suspicion in her eyes remained. Rory gracefully poured 2 glasses of wine and pushed one toward Cassandra. Don't be so tense. Liam and I hit it off right away. He was staying here when he first came to town for business. I was in desperate need of a designer, and he drew up a plan for one of my suites. That's how we met. She took a sip of her wine, continuing, he seems outgoing, but deep down, that kid is a real loner. He told me about his family situation yesterday, and I saw the news tonight, being abandoned by the people he considered family. That's only going to make him colder. Cassandra already knew most of this, aside from the story of how they'd met. She'd run a full background check on him the first night they'd crossed paths. Still, what's your point? Cassandra's voice was proud and cold. She hadn't touched the wine glass in front of her, her eyes locked on Rory. As a seasoned bar owner, Rory had seen it all. It only took 2 sentences for her to guess they'd had a fight. No point, she said, her eyes twinkling. Cassandra, are you and Liam in the middle of a serious relationship? A serious relationship. The term felt complicated. Cassandra didn't know how to answer, but she felt the woman in front of her had an agenda, especially after that crack about robbing the cradle. Is that so? Rory murmured, a slight smile playing on her lips as if she'd just heard a term from a bygone era. Her eyes crinkled at the corners. Cassandra watched her, her face still a mask of hostility, her possessiveness practically radiating off her in waves. Rory took another delicate sip of wine. If that's your relationship, then this is just a little argument. You apologize to each other, and it's over. Why get so worked up? Could it be solved if she just went and apologized? But the thing she just said to Liam, it felt like a final break. If she went back now, where would her pride be? Besides, Liam would just laugh at her again. Noticing the hesitation in Cassandra's eyes, Rory's gaze sharpened. Cassandra, can you tell me what you were fighting about? Cassandra's brow furrowed, and she bit her lip. She was desperately short on friends, or rather, friends who dared to actually speak their minds to her. Her sister, Riley, was one, but she was always full of terrible ideas. This whole stunt of testing him was Riley's suggestion in the first place. Beyond her, there was only Evelyn Reed and Haley Liu. Haley was buried in work at Zenith Corp. Unless it was a work emergency, neither she nor Evelyn would dare bother her. And Evelyn, while smart, was always so full of reverence and fear that she could never offer an objective, third-party perspective. Rory, however, was perfect. More importantly, if she could use Rory as a go-between to get a message to Liam, she might be able to save face. After a long silence, Cassandra finally spoke. I wanted to see him get jealous. Huh, and you two nearly blew up your entire relationship over that. Rory laughed, looking thoroughly amused. Cassandra's icy facade began to crack, a hint of embarrassment showing on her face. Seeing this, Rory understood instantly. She sighed dramatically, pulled out a slim case of cigarettes, and tapped one out. Before lighting it, she offered the case to Cassandra. Cassandra shook her head slightly. I don't smoke. Rory shrugged and put the case away. As a ribbon of smoke curled into the air, she spoke slowly. I don't blame you. A kid like Liam is fundamentally insecure. Someone with that kind of solitary nature can't give you the security you need, so it's only natural you'd want to test him. The words hit their mark, instantly dissolving the knot of confusion in Cassandra's chest. She sat up straighter, chewing on her lip. Then what should I do to make him give me that security? No. Rory held up a hand, tapping her long nails on the table for emphasis. Cassandra, you got the order wrong. It's not about him giving you security. Before any of that, you have to make him feel secure. Cassandra froze. Hadn't she done enough? She'd told him that whatever he wanted, he just had to ask. If he wanted the stars from the sky, she wouldn't hesitate to buy the celestial rights and gift them to him. Wasn't that enough security? Seeing her confusion, Rory took a drag from her cigarette and exhaled a soft cloud of smoke. Let me give you an example, she said pensively. Take me. I don't need any more material things. At my age, all I want is emotional belonging. I want the feeling that someone is unconditionally, unshakably mine. Her eyes met Cassandra's. Cassandra didn't look away. Liam's face flashed in her mind, along with every moment they had spent together. With unshakable conviction, she declared, no one but him will ever be Cassandra Thorne's husband. Even though her expression was deadly serious, and her tone left no room for argument, Rory still looked surprised. Are you sure? Without a trace of hesitation, Cassandra nodded. I am absolutely certain. I don't care if he loves me or not. I've already fallen in love with him. I only want Liam. Rory's eyes lit up with an unreadable envy. But words like that couldn't stand up to scrutiny. A moment's thought was all it took to see the problem. You've heard him. It wasn't a question. Rory's tone was certain. Cassandra's face went still. She nodded subconsciously, a shadow of sadness creeping into her eyes. Yes. When we first met, I did a lot of things to hurt him. Rory smiled. And now you've realized you like him. Yes. Sigh. Rory let out a long breath, a wry smile on her face. You two are a real tragic love story, aren't you? Cassandra didn't deny it. She fell silent, her mood growing more agitated. For Liam, she had become someone she didn't even recognize. She didn't know if what she was doing was right or wrong, but she knew one thing for certain. If she didn't do this now, she would regret it for the rest of her life. Without her noticing, Rory had finished half a bottle of wine by herself. She looked at Cassandra, her voice full of meaning. This is actually very easy to solve. Since you like him, and you're already in a relationship, he's your fiancé. After all, it means there's still room to fix this. What do I have to do? Cassandra asked urgently, like a drowning woman grasping for a life raft. Rory stated it plainly. Make him feel your love. Cassandra pressed her. Can you be more specific? Holy sight. For example, cook a meal for him. Go with him to do something he wants to do. Things like that. It's that simple. Ha ha. Little sister, a man chasing a woman is like climbing a mountain, but a woman chasing a man is like crossing a thin veil. You two are already engaged. Just go with his flow. When you fight, be a little softer with him. Flirt a little. Men are like lions. Stroke their fur the right way, and they'll purr for you. Rub them the wrong way, and they'll roar. You just have to get the feel for it. They'll be easy to win over. But hadn't she already compromised enough? Lately, wasn't it always her who backed down first? Sensing Cassandra's hesitation, Rory smiled. What? You feel like you'll lose face? Undeniably, Rory's insight was razor-sharp. Every word hit its mark. Cassandra nodded silently. What happened to that fierce determination you had a minute ago? Since you like him, stop worrying about the consequences and just go for it. What's a life without a passionate, earth-shattering love story? Besides, he's already engaged to you. Doesn't that mean he's already in the process of forgiving you? Rory's words were like a revelation, instantly untangling the knots that had been tying Cassandra up for weeks. It was true. She had already decided to chase him with everything she had. So what did pride matter anymore? If she was wrong, she was wrong. Apologize, make amends, win him back. That was her true nature. Seeing Cassandra's brow relax, Rory added one more piece of advice. And if all else fails, we still have the nuclear option. Cassandra blinked. What? Rory gestured for her to lean closer. Cassandra, a little dazed, inclined her head as Rory's voice floated into her ear like a feather. Have his baby. Bro, why do you order so much booze? Chloe, about to head out with Leo for a walk, saw Liam in the hallway. Behind him, a waiter pushed a cart laden with an assortment of liquor bottles. Liam's answer was casual. Bored. Figured I'd have a few drinks. Chloe and Leo exchanged a look. Something was definitely wrong. Cassandra wasn't with him, which meant they must have had a fight. Chloe saw it, but didn't say anything, only asking with concern, Brother Liam, are you in a bad mood? Who says you have to be in a bad mood to drink? Can't a guy drink when he's bored? Liam replied with a smile. He looked at the two of them, smoothly changing the subject. You two heading out? Yeah, it's our first time here. We wanted to look around, Leo said, scratching his head and glancing instinctively at Chloe. Seeing the budding romance between them, Liam didn't comment, just gave a word of warning. Go have fun. Just stay away from the gambling tables. Leo grinned. Don't worry, Liam. I might want to, but I'm not stupid. What's so fun about gambling tables? I want to check out the food stalls. Chloe added. Liam nodded, smiling as he walked past them, clapping Leo on the shoulder. Go on. Have a great time. With that, he disappeared into his suite, the waiter and the cart of alcohol following him inside. You think he and Ms. Thorne had a fight? Leo whispered. Sigh. There's nothing we can do. Their relationship is too complicated. Chloe sighed, turning back to Leo. Let's go, Leo. We'll let him blow off some steam. We can try to talk to him tomorrow. Now's not the right time. All right. Chatting quietly, they got into the elevator. Inside the suite, with Cassandra gone, Liam was consumed by a profound boredom. He opened his phone, downloaded a random game, and started drinking while he played. Without realizing it, the entire cart of liquor was emptied. Alcohol flooded his system, his movements becoming clumsy, his gameplay deteriorating. A string of defeat screens soured his mood. He quit the game and started scrolling through funny videos on TikTok instead. By the time midnight rolled around, he was slumped on the sofa, thoroughly drunk. His phone slipped from his hand and landed silently on the thick carpet as his consciousness began to fade. When Cassandra reached the end of the hallway, she suddenly came to her senses. She stared at the door to the suite, her hand hovering over the lock with the keycard, frozen in midair. She thought for a moment, then called Evelyn. "Get some barbecue ready, and get a lot of oysters." After hanging up, she took a deep breath, raised the keycard, and swiped. With a soft click, the door opened. The first thing that hit her was the overpowering stench of alcohol. Cassandra frowned and walked in quickly. In the living area, she found Liam passed out on the sofa. His tall frame was curled up, his cheeks flushed a deep, telltale red. His breathing was heavy, so loud that she could hear it clearly from across the room, each breath landing on her heart like a stone. The coffee table in front of him was a chaotic mess of empty bottles, an absurd monument to a night of drinking his sorrows away. It was undeniable. He was in a terrible mood, and she already knew why. She had said things that had made him unhappy. This time, she was supposed to make him happy, and instead, she had done something so ridiculously stupid. Cassandra's heart clenched, a sharp, suffocating pain that stole her breath. She was an absolute fool. How could she have ever thought to test him with a lie? She moved slowly, crossing the room to kneel by the sofa. Gazing at his handsome face, she couldn't stop herself from reaching out, her hand gently stroking his brow. "I'm sorry," she murmured, her slender fingers tracing the strong line of his nose down to his cheek. "I will never do something like this again. I promise. I love you, Liam." Her whisper was barely audible. Liam's eyelashes fluttered. His eyes cracked open into a narrow slit as his hand shot out, grabbing her wrist. A jolt went through Cassandra. You're not asleep?" she stammered. "My face was itchy," Liam said, his voice flat and laced with an inhuman coldness. "Sorry." She lowered her gaze. Liam shot her an indifferent look, flicked her hand away, and picked his phone up off the floor. He glanced at the time, then sat up straight. His tone was pure mockery. "If I remember correctly, shouldn't Ms. Thorne be on a plane right now? What happened? Bad weather?" As always, hearing that kind of sarcasm, Cassandra's first instinct was to fire back. This time, however, she held her tongue. She glanced at her rejected hand, then stood and sat down next to him on the sofa. "I was lying," she said, her voice heavy. "Oh, really?" Liam laughed, but the smile never reached his eyes. He looked at her with a profound distance. "How fascinating. Ms. Thorne goes to all the trouble of weaving this elaborate lie just to mess with me. Very thoughtful of you." She didn't respond to his jab, just kept her head down, her posture one of complete submission. "I'm sorry." The alcohol was still swirling in his system, muddying his thoughts, erasing his usual clarity. Faced with a relentlessly apologizing Cassandra, Liam's frustration boiled over. "Sorry again? Is it the only word you know?" he yelled, but immediately caught himself, lowering his voice to a calm, flat tone. "You have nothing to be sorry for, Ms. Thorne. We're over. You said so yourself." I was angry. At his words, Cassandra grew frantic. She leaned forward, her face a mask of desperation. "I was just angry. I like you, but I don't know if you like me, and I wanted to see you get jealous. I just wanted to see you be possessive of me." "Are you kidding me? Like you?" Liam scoffed, his gaze cold and dismissive as it landed on her. Disdain flared in his eyes. "How pathetic do you think I am, to still like you after all that torture?" Cassandra was speechless. She had never heard him say something so utterly final, so cruel. His eyes were like ice caves. She couldn't see a single trace of emotion on his face. In that instant, a tidal wave of regret and hurt crashed over her. Her nose stung, and the tears she'd been holding back finally broke free, streaming down her face. But you said, you'd never leave me for the rest of my life," she cried, grabbing his arm with all her strength, as if possessed. "Have you forgotten? On Solitude Key, after the horse race, you said it yourself. You promised you would stay by my side forever." Tears streamed uncontrollably down her cheeks. You really are an idiot." Liam's laugh was a cold, sharp sound. "Words like that were just for the occasion. The fact that you actually took them seriously is the biggest joke I've ever heard." "No, I don't believe you," Cassandra screamed, grabbing at her hair in a near frenzy. "I don't believe you were lying to me." She muttered the words over and over, staring at him like a madwoman before a broken laugh escaped her lips. "So what if you were lying? I've already fallen for you. What am I supposed to do? I can't control myself anymore." As she spoke, she shot to her feet, standing right in front of him. "Do you think I wanted to fall for you? I don't get it. I don't understand why I fell for you." She jabbed a finger at her own chest, completely unhinged. "Do you know what happens when you're not with me? It hurts right here. I can't control it. The pain keeps me up all night. Sometimes I really think I've gone insane, that I would ever have a day where my heart could hurt this much. But what can I do? You won't accept me. You've always resisted me. The only thing I know how to do is to forcefully tie you to my side. Even if it's against your will, it's the only way. All I know is that as long as you're here, I'm happy. I'm happy. She whispered, her vision blurred by tears. What did it matter if she was a billionaire heiress from top family? In the face of unrequited love, everyone is equal. There are no exceptions. Liam stared at her, utterly shocked. This was the first time Cassandra had ever spoken to him from the heart like this. She needed him. She had laid it all bare, confessed everything to him. What a proud, arrogant person she used to be. Liam remembered their first meeting, how she had held a gun on him, forcing him to save her. And in all the time that followed, she had been relentlessly domineering, seizing control of his life without a second thought. After escaping the Hamiltons and being betrayed by his ex-girlfriend, his only desire in this world had been to get away, to be free. He craved freedom more than anything. But what was this freedom he was so devoted to? He didn't even know himself. Maybe it was just not wanting anyone to have a claim on him, or maybe it was the simple pleasure of being left alone. He had been forced off the Landon family's radar, away from all the noise, but he was still living like a rat, always scurrying, always just trying to survive. And now, one of the primary architects of his misery was standing in front of him, pointing at her own heart, proclaiming her love for him through a flood of tears. The irony was crushing. Love me? Is this a joke? His eyes darkened, and fueled by the alcohol, the words poured out, unfiltered. On what grounds do you get to love me? Are you addicted to torturing me? Has Ms. Thorne forgotten that I almost died because of your games? And now you're telling me you love me? With what? Do you even deserve to? His voice thundered, each word a hammer blow to Cassandra's heart. That was an accident, she pleaded, her face pale, her gaze desperate. I'm sorry, I apologize to you. I didn't know. I never wanted you to die. Please believe me. I just wanted you by my side, wanted you to submit to me. I swear I never, ever wanted you to die. If Liam hadn't been revived that day, she didn't know what terrible things she might have done. But now, she could answer with certainty. She could not live without Liam. Without him, she would go mad. If he had died then, she would have carried that regret for the rest of her life. Just as now, if she didn't swallow her pride and beg, if Liam really left, she would lose her mind. Hearing her pleading, Liam's gaze hardened. The mix of liquors was potent, and a dizzying haze was settling in for the long haul. His head felt like it wasn't his own, as if his brain was sloshing around inside his skull. Right now, aside from what he was consciously trying to control, anything could come out of his mouth. He didn't want to argue anymore. Looking at that beautiful, tear-streaked face, he found he didn't have the heart for it. The world seemed to be dimming. He felt a dull ache in his chest, but couldn't bring himself to speak of it. He looked at Cassandra, and, through the dizzy spell, he turned his head away. Fine, he said softly. Are you done? I need a rest. He responded with an official, detached tone. In that split second, he decided he didn't want to talk about this anymore. It was too deep, too complicated. Besides his own future, he had no mental energy left for anything else. He wanted to rest, to sleep. When he woke up, everything would be better, right? Drinking makes you dizzy and makes you talk nonsense. That's just a fact. Liam's eyes narrowed, his gaze falling on the weeping Cassandra. You should get some sleep, Ms. Thorne. It's getting late. No. For some reason, some wire in her brain snapped again. You're not sleeping until you make things clear with me today. Liam sighed. What have I done to deserve a girlfriend like this? Oh, right. They were just partners in a bet. He didn't want to say another word. He just pulled the blanket from the sofa, wrapped it around himself, shot her a weary look, and pointedly closed his eyes right in front of her. Witnessing this, Cassandra was seething. Her first instinct was to shake him awake, but she froze, staring at his sleeping face. Her heart ached so much it was hard to breathe. But at least he hadn't kicked her out, right? That meant she still had a chance. At least, when it came to earning his forgiveness, she still had a chance. She thought for a moment, then stepped forward and gently tucked the blanket around him. Just as she was steeling herself to make a bold move, the doorbell rang. Ding! The sound was like a thunderclap. Cassandra flinched and instinctively went to open the door. On the sofa, after she had covered him with the blanket and walked away, Liam's eyes fluttered open. Miss, the barbecue you ordered is here. Cassandra glanced at the sleeping Liam and said flatly, set it up. Yes, ma'am. Evelyn took the order. She didn't know what her boss was planning, but the moment she stepped into the suite and was hit with the overwhelming smell of alcohol, she understood. She motioned for her team to come forward, and they began arranging the food on the dining table. Still no news on Liam? Across the world in the UK, Sylvia Shaw was frantic. She had spent a sleepless night in her hotel, tormented by thoughts of what Cassandra might be doing to Liam. Nothing. The Landon patriarch has found no trace of him. The subordinate beside her reported, the words sending a fresh wave of panic through Sylvia. No news for this long. Could something have happened to him? The three families could find anyone. If they couldn't, it meant the person was already dead. She couldn't accept Liam's death. Even if he was gone, she at least deserved to know where his body was. But the Landons had nothing. She couldn't wait any longer. What did the first mate on that ship say? Sylvia's brow was furrowed, her usual gentle demeanor gone. He said, "Mr. Lynn disembarked in Sydney. The weather was bad, so the ship ported there. And you couldn't find him in Sydney?" Sylvia pressed. "No. Our contacts in Sydney only confirmed he bought a plane ticket to Las Vegas, but he never actually boarded that flight. We can't be sure if he's still in Sydney." Sylvia's brow tightened. Suddenly, an idea struck her. Could he already be in Vegas? "That seems unlikely," the subordinate replied. "Ma'am, ever since Vegas cleaned up its act, its main economy is still casinos. Mr. Lynn has always been careful with money. Why would he go to a place like that?" "The more impossible it seems, the more likely it is," Sylvia declared, her conviction hardening. "But what would he be doing there? Isn't the economy there completely controlled by mainland interests?" the subordinate asked, confused. Sylvia let out a sudden, cold laugh. "No, you don't understand. Liam never plays by the rules." The subordinate stared at her, stunned. Sylvia's expression turned icy. She looked at her bodyguard and gave a sharp command. "Go. Arrange a flight to Las Vegas immediately." She paused for a moment, then added, "Do it quietly. Don't let anyone know." "Yes, ma'am." The subordinate hurried off to make the arrangements. Sylvia's eyes narrowed. The only way to know for sure was to go there herself. No matter what, she couldn't let Cassandra get to him first. Especially now. Cassandra hadn't posted anything online in 2 days. Silence meant she had already reached him. She would not allow a latecomer to win. She was the first one here. No matter what, she had to win. The only thing she wanted was Liam. The suite had been transformed. All the lights were off, save for a single candle flickering on the table. Cassandra dismissed everyone and quietly knelt by the sofa again, watching Liam's sleeping face. Even just looking at him like this, in silence, felt beautiful. She suddenly couldn't understand how she'd ever thought of testing him. Their relationship wasn't strong enough for that yet, and she had resorted to lies. And with lies, all you get in return are more lies. Staring at his sleeping face, an unexpected sense of peace washed over her. Cassandra wanted this moment to last forever. She wanted to stay with him like this for a very long time, even if it cost her her life. She didn't know where the thought came from, only that she didn't want him to be in pain anymore. It seemed in the dance of loving and being loved, she had learned to respect him. "If you hadn't rejected me, I probably would have just kept doing things my own way," she murmured, her expression soft and resigned as she watched him. In fact, Liam wasn't asleep. The drowsiness was all an act. He was just pretending, waiting to see what Cassandra would do next. And now, he had heard every single word she'd said. She really did love him. She had truly fallen in love with him. He didn't know where this love had come from, but what he was seeing now was the undeniable truth. Should he just accept it? Then what about all the humiliation he had suffered? Was he supposed to just write it all off as a lover's quarrel? No. She had treated him like a toy, hadn't she? If that's how it started, how could he be sure this wasn't just more of the same? His eyelids twitched, long lashes trembling. He cracked his eyes, open a fraction, his voice cold and laced with a new, cruel edge. "Aren't you leaving?" "Leaving for what?" Cassandra looked over at the dining table, a small smile appearing on her tear-streaked face. "I'm waiting for you to wake up so we can have breakfast." This woman, her move caught Liam completely off guard. Hadn't he insulted her enough? How could she still have this much patience? "In your dreams. Not even a dog would eat your breakfast," Liam shot back, thinking the words were as cruel as he could make them. But Cassandra didn't get angry. Instead, her lips curled into a fond smile. "That's okay. You sleep. When you wake up, I'll have them send up something new." Liam, who was used to her explosive reactions, was stunned. He never expected her to be so accommodating. Weren't his words nasty enough? How could she be so humble, so pleading? "Something new," he scoffed. "As long as it's from you, a dog wouldn't eat it." "You really expect me to?" The mockery was plain on his face. Yet, Cassandra's posture became even more deferential. "You won't eat what I bring? Then tell the staff what you want. I'll pay for it." She looked at him without a trace of hesitation, her entire being radiating a desire to please. If it weren't for the glint of possession in her eyes, Liam might have mistaken her for a sycophant, just like he used to be. But being on the receiving end of it, he found he couldn't bring himself to say anything more vicious. He glanced at the fully prepared dining table and clutched his stomach. "Whatever," he muttered, sitting up. "I'm hungry. I'll just eat whatever." As he said this, Cassandra was already at his side, setting aside her pride to help him into a pair of slippers. "You want something to eat?" "Yeah," Liam grunted, feeling a little unnatural at being served by the great heiress for the first time. Suddenly, a meaningful smile spread across Cassandra's face. "Then you should eat up. These oysters were very hard to get." Liam's gaze fell on the dining table, which was covered in a mountain of grilled oysters. Paired with Cassandra's expectant smile, he had a sinking feeling he knew exactly what she was planning. Seeing him hesitate, Cassandra took the initiative. She picked up an oyster, deftly pried the meat out with a fork, and held it to his lips with a grin. "Let me feed you. Open up." Her voice was soft, like she was coaxing a child. Her eyes curved into crescents, full of anticipation. He wanted to refuse, but his body seemed to be under a spell, moving against his will. His mouth opened instinctively. The oyster slid in, and with the first chew, a burst of garlic and butter exploded on his tongue, followed by the soft, briny meat. He hadn't eaten dinner last night, just a pot of tea at the club. Beyond that, nothing. The alcohol had only made him hungrier. "This is a seafood chowder. It's a little hot, be careful." Cassandra was uncharacteristically gentle. She scooped up a spoonful, blew on it softly, and held her other hand underneath as she carefully brought it to his mouth. In the dim, yellow light, Liam could clearly see chunks of lobster and shrimp swimming in the creamy broth. After a feast like this, he could already guess what Cassandra had in mind. He didn't refuse. Maybe it was the alcohol. In any case, he knew he would find an excuse for his own absurdity later. "Is it good?" Cassandra asked, her eyes curve in a hopeful smile as she watched him eat. A few spoonfuls of the warm chowder settled his stomach, but the liquor still had a firm grip on him. His head was spinning, and his actions felt disconnected from his thoughts. He didn't answer, just kept eating, one mouthful at a time. Cassandra was incredibly patient, feeding him bite after bite. Outside, the first few chirps of morning birds joined the lightening sky, but inside the suite, the strange, silent ritual continued. Soon, the table was cleared of food. Liam grabbed a pitcher of water and chugged half of it, finally soothing the dryness in his mouth. In its place came the crushing fatigue of a long, sleepless night. "I need to sleep. I'm tired," he announced, getting up and heading for the bedroom. Cassandra put down her spoon and followed him immediately, closing the bedroom door behind them. Liam was already lying on the bed. She licked her lips and tiptoed to the edge of the mattress, sitting down beside him. "You're going to sleep now?" she whispered, her voice laced with a restless energy as she stared at his half-closed eyes. Liam didn't answer. He just pulled the comforter up over his clothes, resting the back of his hand on his forehead, radiating exhaustion. Cassandra's eyes flickered. She lifted the covers and slid in beside him. Feeling the movement next to him, Liam's whole body tensed. Then he felt her hands begin to move, not so innocently. "I'm tired," he protested, his voice hoarse, but he made no move to stop her. "It's okay," she whispered back. "I'll do the work." It wasn't their first time. With repetition came a greedy familiarity. She was skilled and confident. Liam couldn't describe what he was feeling. He knew this was wrong, yet he was a conscious observer of his own downfall, especially when the warm, yellow light from the bedside lamp illuminated Cassandra's delicate features. He had to admit, his heart was racing. And so, the absurd morning began. Outside, the sun had risen, casting its light upon the world. The chirping of birds filled the air as the sky turned a pearly white. When he woke again, the world outside was a steady, drizzling rain. The bedroom, though the windows were closed, was filled with the fresh, damp scent of the storm. The sheets felt a little damp, too. Liam's head felt like it was splitting apart. The slightest movement sent a sharp spike of pain through his skull. His right arm was completely numb, as if it had been run over by a truck, filled with the static of a television with no signal. Cassandra was asleep. Liam turned his head slightly, listening to her soft, even breathing against the backdrop of the rain. Her eyelashes were long, and with every slight flutter, they seemed to tug at his heart. His lips were so dry they felt like they were about to crack. He was desperately thirsty. He struggled to pull his arm free, fighting through the relentless throbbing in his head to slowly sit up. As if sensing his movement, Cassandra shifted uncomfortably, her hands flailing in the air before clamping down firmly on his arm again. She was like bubblegum. Once she stuck to you, she was impossible to get off. Liam frowned slightly. "I'm not leaving," he said softly. "I'm just going to get some water." Ugh. Cassandra's eyes fluttered open, still heavy with sleep. "You want water?" She rubbed her eyes and propped herself up on the mattress. Her long legs dangled over the side of the bed as she sleepily fumbled for her slippers on the floor. "I'll get it for you," she mumbled, yawning as she stumbled out of the room. Liam never expected her to be so proactive. In a flash, she was back with a glass, so drowsy she looked like she might pass out at any second, and promptly shoved the glass into his face. "Here, water." The rim of the glass bumped his nose. Liam flinched back, taking the cup from her. "Thanks," he said, then immediately started gulping it down. Cassandra just stood there by the bed, squinting at him, her eyes shadowed with dark circles, clearly exhausted. A few big swallows of water made Liam feel slightly better, but his head was still pounding. The hangover was brutal. He rubbed his temples uncomfortably. "Headache?" Cassandra asked, taking the glass from him, her expression concerned. "Yeah, I think I drank a little too much yesterday," Liam admitted. His brain felt like it was being pricked with needles. "I'll have Evelyn tell me what to do for it," Cassandra said, and before he could respond, she was already heading out to the living room to make the call. And so, on a perfectly good day for staying in and watching the rain, Evelyn found her gaming session interrupted by a call from Cassandra. In the middle of a downpour, Evelyn got on a video call and patiently walked Cassandra, step by step, through how to give a head massage to relieve a headache. A short while later, Cassandra returned to the bedroom with a small bottle of something Evelyn had recommended and a hot, damp towel. "No, you can't do this. We've been working our asses off for you guys, and you're just firing us? On what grounds?" In the office of the Crimson Shell Hotel and Casino, the news hit the Hamiltons like a bolt of lightning. Jason grabbed the manager's arm frantically. "Sir, can't you give us another chance? We're living in the hotel. If you fire us now, we don't even have a place to stay." Isabel looked at the manager with desperate, pleading eyes. "This is an order from the owner. You two can pack your things and leave," the manager said coldly, ignoring their pleas. "How can you do this? You promised. Besides, Liam is my brother. He's rich. He's going to come looking for us any day now." With his last safety net gone, Jason screamed at the manager like a madman. But the manager just ignored him and signaled for security. Seeing them approach, Isabel grabbed Jason, who was still yelling, and pulled him toward the exit. "Belle, are you just going to let them fire us?" Jason demanded as they stood outside the hotel. They were the ones who said Liam would come save us. "Jason." Isabel's face was etched with exhaustion. "Don't you get it yet?" "Get what?" "Liam probably never got our message. Or maybe he never agreed to save us in the first place." Isabel covered her face, her voice choked with pain. Ever since their father had pulled some strings to get them to Las Vegas, Jason had become obsessed with gambling. His initial wins had lured their father in, and the two of them had spent their nights at the tables, one dreaming of a comeback, the other lost in addiction. She couldn't stop them. In just a few days, they had racked up millions in debt. For the old Hamilton family, that might have been manageable, but now they couldn't pay it back even if they sold themselves. Their father, David, had collapsed from stress and was now bedridden, all his pride gone. Their mother, Sandra, spent her days in tears, barely eating. To make matters worse, their youngest sister, Noelle, had developed a severe anxiety disorder after her disastrous appearance on that reality show. She spent all day locked in her room, convinced the whole world was staring at her, too afraid to even open her door. And Penelope, their other sister, had disappeared shortly after they arrived in Vegas. The once proud Hamilton family was in ruins. Now, the only ones left who could still function were her and Jason. At least he had been willing to work with her. But now they had lost even that. Looking at Jason's resentful face, Isabel felt utterly drained. She was once a well-known executive in the business world, and now she had fallen this far. "Belle, are you saying Liam never planned to save us?" Jason's voice was filled with panic as he grabbed her arm, his last hope crumbling. Isabel nodded silently, the fatigue on her face making her look years older. "How is that possible? He has money. It's only a few million. You guys raised him for all those years. He should pay it back, just as a favor." Isabel didn't speak. She had no words left. A few million. When you're not managing a fortune, you don't realize how hard it is to come by. Even in the old days, that wasn't a small sum, let alone now. "That may be true, but we have no way of finding him," she sighed. "That was their biggest problem. I'll ask the hotel. The staff must know. Otherwise, they wouldn't have just kicked us out. Belle, we have to find him. He owes us. You raised him for years. He stole so much from me. He has to pay it back." Seeing Isabel's silence, Jason grew frantic, his face contorting in a snarl as he started to charge back into the hotel. Isabel was about to call him back when a man's voice, one she dreaded, sounded from behind them. Well, Miss. Hamilton. Kicked out by the hotel, were you? Isabel spun around. Jason froze. Behind them stood Marco and a few of his thugs, a smug, predatory grin on his face. Isabel's face went white. And Marco, she stammered. What are you doing here? Here to pick you up? Marco sneered, his eyes raking over Isabel's figure with blatant disrespect. You know, if you had just agreed to my offer earlier, you wouldn't have had to work yourself to the bone like this. Such a pity. Isabel took a fearful step back. Faced with a dozen burly men, Jason scrambled to hide behind her. Get in the car. I've got a nice little job for you, Marco said. One of his goons stepped forward aggressively and grabbed Isabel's arm. Right in front of the hotel, the two of them were dragged into a black sedan. Noticing Jason's terrified expression, Isabel gathered her courage. Marco, we'll find work as soon as we can. I promise, I'll work my whole life if I have to, but I will pay you back. Pay me back. Marco, in the front passenger seat, let out a cold laugh. Your salary is what? $3,000 a month? When are you going to pay back a few million? Isabel was at a loss for words. Beside her, Jason blurted out, My brother has money. My brother is Liam, the famous one from the internet. He's going to bring the money any day now. Oh, Marco sneered. Your family's name is Hamilton, but your brother's is Lynn? You think Marco is an idiot? Boss, stop wasting your breath on them, the driver said, taking a drag from his cigarette and giving Isabel a lewd look. You go first. When you're done, we can send this chick to the underground studios to make some movies. No, please no. Really, Liam is my brother. Just let me contact him. He'll definitely send the money. Our family adopted him. Facing their predatory gazes, Isabel's heart leaped into her throat. Her face was ashen, and she was too terrified to form a complete sentence. But Marco just laughed. All right, cut the crap. I got a job for you. You do it, and your debt is wiped clean. You fail, and you'll do exactly what my boy here said. You'll go make movies for me. What job? Jason asked quickly. This woman is the head of the mainland's Zenith Corp, Marco said, pulling a photo from his pocket. It was Evelyn Reed's professional headshot. You find a way to get some pictures of her. High definition. You do that, and the job's done. It's her. Isabel's face went pale as she stared at the photo, old memories flooding back. Figures a former big shot like you would run in these circles, Marco taunted, tossing the photo at her. She's in this hotel right now, top floor, room 710. Go find a chance to snap a few pictures. As he spoke, he saw the nervous look on Isabel's face. Jason, seeing a lifeline, grabbed her arm. Belle, you know her? Isabel shook her head, her face as white as a sheet. I've just seen her in advertisements. She's Haley Lou's boss, the president of Zenith Corp. Zenith Corp? Isn't that the top company in New York that Liam, my brother, used to work for? Jason blurted out, catching himself mid-sentence, his attempt to name-drop painfully obvious. Marco watched them with a cold smile. Since you know her, the job is yours. I'll be waiting for your good news. He waved a hand, and his thugs opened the car doors, dragging Isabel and Jason out and dumping them onto the wet pavement like stray dogs. The black sedan sped away, leaving them with nothing but a single burner phone for communication and taking the pictures. Even with a phone, they didn't dare run. Marco had their parents and Noelle. Isabel clutched the phone, watching the car disappear, her teeth biting in her lip. Belle, what are you waiting for? Let's go, Jason urged, shoving her when he saw her standing frozen. Isabel looked at him with a complicated expression. Jason, we can't do this. As a woman, if those kinds of pictures got out, her life would be over. At this, Jason's anger flared. Belle, what are you talking about? If we don't do what they say, how long will it take us to pay back millions of dollars? And besides, he continued, a scheme forming in his desperate mind. Liam used to work at that company. He probably knows this woman. We just take the pictures, blackmail Liam with them first, get him to give us the money. No, double it. We get him to give us a couple million, we pay off the debt, and then we give the photos to Liam. It's a win-win. Isabel's eyes lit up. It was true. Liam had mysteriously gotten into Zenith Corp, and he was close with Haley Lou. Zenith had even handed their family a major contract after he'd beaten up Jason. Didn't that prove something? Liam must know Evelyn Reed. If they took the photos, but only showed them to Liam and never leaked them, it wouldn't really be doing anything wrong, would it? In her haze of desperation, Isabel convinced herself that Jason was right. One last question remained. Jason, how are we supposed to contact Liam? She asked cautiously. The hotel manager must have his contact info. Jason said with certainty. If not, we'll go online. He was all over the internet before. Now that we have a phone, we can definitely find him. Isabel nodded. All right, we'll do it your way. She looked at the hotel entrance. Jason, it's too crowded now. Tonight, I'll go to the front desk, and say we left something behind. We'll go up together. Okay. Jason agreed. For now, they found shelter from the rain in the hotel's public garden, waiting for night to fall. Back in the hotel suite, Cassandra was sitting propped up on the bed, Liam's head resting her lap. Is it heavy? She asked softly, her fingers gently massaging his temples. Outside, the sky was a gloomy gray, the sound of the downpour filling the air. The atmosphere in the room was decidedly intimate. But Liam, his head still throbbing, ruined the mood with a blunt observation. Your nails are a little sharp. Cassandra froze. The entire mood shattered. Her good humor evaporated, and she couldn't help but complain. Well, what do you want me to do about it? I just got these done. You want me to take them off now? Liam kept his eyes closed. No, don't take them off. They're nice. Just use the pads of your fingers. He said her nails were nice. An uncontrollable smile spread across Cassandra's face. I could do yours too, she offered, showing off her own pink nails. I could paint yours blue. We could have matching couples colors. At that, Liam couldn't hold back. I'm a grown man. You want to give me a pedicure? So what? Boys are allowed to like pretty things too, Cassandra said with a playful stubbornness. Liam glanced up at her determined chin, was silent for a moment, then closed his eyes again in resignation. All right, let's do your toes then. We've got nothing else to do today. I'll have Evelyn send up the polish. As soon as the words were out, she was up and moving. Liam stared down at his own rather unkempt toes as Cassandra returned with a small case. He made one last, desperate attempt to ruin the mood. I don't think I washed my feet yesterday. Then I'll wash them for you, Cassandra replied without missing a beat. She set the case on the floor, her voice full of determination. I've never done this for anyone before, but I've had it done plenty of times. You see it enough, you learn. It'll be good practice for me. With that, she bustled off to the bathroom to get water. It was hopeless. A team of wild horses couldn't drag her away from this now. He had become Cassandra's practice dummy. The rain continued to fall outside. Since his head hurt anyway, he had no desire to go out. If she wanted to play, let her play. He could always wear extra socks from now on. Liam resigned himself to his fate and lay on the bed like a corpse. A few moments later, Cassandra returned with a basin of water, setting it on the carpet beside the bed. She dipped a hand in to test the temperature, then stood up and saw Liam lying there like a statue. You could at least cooperate a little, she grumbled, a hint of genuine complaint in her voice. I've never given anyone a pedicure in my life. Liam moved the arm, covering his face, peeking at her with one eye. He lazily shifted his legs until they were dangling over the side of the bed, a posture of pure, entitled relaxation. Cassandra took a deep breath, her fingers clenching and unclenching. With a rare display of patience, she sighed, fine. She knelt, took his legs, rolled up his pant legs, and placed his feet in the basin of water. The warm water enveloped his feet, and as he felt the touch of her fingertips, a jolt went through him. In that moment, he felt a complex mix of emotions. A billionaire heiress, with her own delicate, precious hands, was washing his feet. If anyone who knew them saw this, their eyes would pop out of their heads. He felt the same way. It was hard to imagine that just a few months ago, this same woman had been so arrogantly barking orders at him. And now, suddenly, Liam wondered if he was being too cruel. Had he taken a proud person and worn her down until she had no spirit left? Was that really right? But then he remembered she was the one who tortured him first. Didn't she deserve all of this? It was her fault for falling in love with him. He certainly hadn't asked her to. After a few more mental gymnastics, Liam successfully convinced himself of his righteousness. His body, however, betrayed him. He sat up. I can wash them myself, he said, his voice quiet. You could just paint them after. The moment the words left his mouth, he was stunned. He was actually feeling sorry for her. Great. He was just as pathetic as she was. It's almost done. You have to get rid of the dead skin before you do the polish, Cassandra said, shaking her head as she worked. She looked up. He wouldn't be feeling sorry for me, would he? She shot a glance at him and caught his eyes, which darted away guiltily. Instantly, her mood soared. She dried her hands, took out a small bottle of blue nail polish, and sat on the edge of the bed. Liam, cooperating now, lifted his foot for her. She sat with her back to him, patiently holding his calf and gripping his foot. The moment she touched him, his foot jerked back, nearly kicking her off the bed. Sorry, it's ticklish, Liam said, scratching his head apologetically. It wasn't just her first time doing this for someone. It was his first time ever getting a pedicure. She didn't blame him. Well, I have to hold it, she said, turning back, or my hand will shake. Let's shake, Liam winced. It's on my feet. No one's going to see it. No way. This is my first time. It has to be perfect. I'm a perfectionist. Cassandra insisted, stubbornly taking his foot again, nearly twisting his ankle in her firm grip. Great. Now it wasn't just his head that hurt. His foot did too. Liam winced, but endured it. He stared at her slender back, at the elegant curve of her spine. Her long, black hair was tied up with a simple hairpin, revealing the pale, graceful line of her neck as she leaned forward. He could practically feel her concentration as she applied each layer of polish. She was careful not to tickle the bottom of his foot, her movements surprisingly gentle. Gradually, Liam began to relax. The rain poured down outside. The bedside lamp cast a warm, yellow glow, and the air was filled with the faint scent of roses from her perfume. Liam leaned back against the headboard, watching her, and in his mind's eye, he pictured her sitting at a glass-walled office, coolly signing documents, a queen on her throne. It was a rare moment of peace. The patter of the rain was like a gentle melody, playing on his heartstrings. Someone was watching the rain from a window. Someone else was trapped in it. Even the weather was unpredictable, let alone people. Done. Cassandra's voice was full of excitement. She turned to show him her handiwork. As she moved, his 2 feet, now adorned with shimmery blue polish, came into view. Don't make me look. Liam quickly covered his eyes. A grown man with sparkly, dopamine blue toenails. It was mortifying. It looks good, Cassandra insisted, excitedly wiggling her own pink-nailed fingers next to his toes. See? Mine are pink. We have matching couples colors. Peeking through his fingers, Liam saw her ecstatic expression. After a moment, his lips moved, and he mumbled 2 words. So childish. Unexpectedly, Cassandra didn't get angry. Instead, she just beamed at him. Maturity is for strangers. Childishness is for you. Her words caught him completely off guard. A warmth spread through his chest and up to his cheeks. Seeing her eyes crinkle with happiness, he felt a sudden need to escape, fumbling for an excuse. You know what? Let's go for a walk. A rainy day is perfect for appreciating the rain. Okay, Cassandra agreed. She packed up her supplies, then glanced at the rain-streaked windows. We should dress warm. We don't want your headache to get worse from the cold. She was actually quite thoughtful when she wasn't being crazy. Liam found himself thinking this, and then reflexively added, You should dress warm, too. You were up all night. You can't get a chill. With that, he escaped to the bathroom. He didn't mean anything by it, but this kind of warmth made him want to run. Especially after waking up to her bright eyes and attentive care, it all felt terrifying. She hadn't mentioned what had happened after he got drunk, and while he tried to remember, his memory stopped at them arguing. He couldn't recall what it was about. Trying to think about it just made his head hurt more. It must have been something incredibly embarrassing that he had selectively forgotten. That had to be it. Staring at his reflection, Liam gave a self-deprecating smile. Just go with the flow, he told himself. Why are you starting to plan for the future again? Stop overthinking. He changed into a fresh set of clothes, only then noticing that the closet was already stocked with men's clothing. I had Evelyn send over a few things the other day. They should all fit, Cassandra explained. She had changed into a short skirt, her long legs bare, and a pair of sandals, clearly ready to splash in some puddles. But Liam, with his freshly painted toes, gritted his teeth and pulled on a pair of black socks. He looked at the leather shoes and sandals in the shoe cabinet and groaned. You don't have any rubber boots, do you? I didn't expect it to rain. Hold on, I'll have Evelyn get some. She was already reaching for her phone. Forget it, Liam said quickly, waving his hand. Leather shoes are fine. We could buy a pair while we're out. Okay, Cassandra nodded. She grabbed a black umbrella from the stand by the door, deliberately ignoring the other one there. She looped her arm through his and started pulling him out the door, her voice stubborn. I want to share an umbrella with you. Liam saw the other umbrella get knocked aside. It was just its bad luck not to be chosen by Cassandra. But her small act of petulance was, he had to admit, kind of cute. The thought flashed through his mind, and he shook his head, trying to clear it. What am I thinking? Am I really this easy to win over? He chided himself. Don't forget what she's done. He didn't say anything, but as they walked, he noticed the expanse of pale skin revealed by her collar. It was covered in hickeys. He paused for a moment before they left. Aren't you going to cover that up? He asked, gesturing to her neck. The marks were obvious. Anyone would know what had happened, especially with them leaving together. Cassandra just blinked innocently. Why would I cover it up? She deliberately pulled her collar down a little lower, the movement flashing in front of his eyes. Her voice was arrogant and possessive. I want everyone to see what you did. She was completely insane. They were so close, he could see the pride and defiance shining in her eyes. Liam had to admit, when she was in a good mood, the woman knew how to flirt. But that was only when she was in a good mood. Cassandra blinked, a playful smile touching her lips. She pointed at his neck. You have one there, too. Liam flinched and pulled at his own shirt collar, thinking she wanted him to expose it. But the button was done up tight. What am I supposed to do? Cut my collar off? He asked awkwardly. Cassandra's eyes twinkled. She stood on her tiptoes and lightly bit the side of his neck, right below his ear. Compared to the splitting headache, the small sting was nothing, but her suddenness caught him completely off guard. There. Next time, I'll aim higher. This will have to do for today, she said, admiring the new red mark with a satisfied smile. It was, of course, in a very obvious spot. This woman really had no sense of subtlety. Liam sighed. He shouldn't have said anything. He walked out with her in silence. They took the elevator down to the first floor. Outside, the heavy rain had slowed to a light, misty drizzle. Under the hotel's portico, Cassandra opened the umbrella. She looked up at Liam, who was a full head taller than her, and only then remembered she was wearing flat sandals. She frowned slightly, stretching her arm up higher. Here, I'll hold it, Liam said, seeing her struggle. He took the umbrella from her. The moment their hands brushed, Cassandra wrapped both of her arms around his right arm, tucking herself in close under the umbrella. Liam didn't say anything. He just glanced at her smiling face. Right now, she looked like a blissful newlywed. For a fleeting moment, he thought it wouldn't be so bad if time could just freeze right here. He silently stepped off the curb with her. She was wearing sandals, clearly prepared to splash in puddles. Yet when they came to an actual puddle, she dodged it faster than he did. So, Liam finally asked, when she had dragged him to a stop in front of a particularly large puddle. Her leg extended as she tried to gauge the distance. Why did you wear sandals? I wanted to splash in the water, she mumbled, then looked down at the murky puddle with disgust. I didn't know it would be so dirty here. Liam looked at the mud splatters on his own pant legs, then at the massive puddle in front of them. The rain had been so heavy it had washed soil from the surrounding gardens onto the cement path, making puddles unavoidable. He watched Cassandra, still debating her next move. Should we just go back, he sighed, or we just walk around the entrance? No. Cassandra refused without hesitation. It was a rare day of harmony between them. Was she really going to waste it by going back to the hotel room to watch him play games on his phone? But the water in this puddle was genuinely disgusting. She couldn't bring herself to step in it. Who knew what weird thing she might step on? Seeing her look of conflicted stubbornness, Liam sighed again and held the umbrella out to her. Here, you take this. Huh? Why? Cassandra asked, but took the umbrella. Liam walked right in front of her and bent down, his voice full of weary resignation. Get on, Your Highness. We just have to get past this gravel path. The surrounding garden was all mud, washed into the cracks between the stones by the downpour. Once they reached the main path, they could easily walk around any puddles. Cassandra's eyes lit up. She eagerly wrapped her arms around his neck and leaped onto him like a koala. Luckily, Liam was prepared, or her sudden launch would have sent them both tumbling into the mud. His back was broad and strong. His hands naturally went behind him, sliding down from her waist, smoothing her skirt until they were securely under her knees. She was pressed tightly against him, feeling the warmth of his body. Liam grunted as he stepped into the puddle, his steps steady and careful as he walked toward the main gate. Close to his ear, Cassandra's voice came out as a soft, hesitant whisper. Liam, am I heavy? Her tone was tentative, her warm breath tickling his ear. I'm just carrying a person, he said gruffly. How heavy can you be? Cassandra fell silent. As Liam focused on walking, he couldn't see her expression, only heard her quiet voice after a long pause. I wish I could stay on your back forever. Outside the umbrella, the rain fell in a steady patter. Inside, the atmosphere instantly grew thick with intimacy. But Liam, ever the killjoy, had to make a joke. Then I'd be exhausted, wouldn't I? You. The mood was shattered. Cassandra balled up her fist and punched his shoulder lightly. You're no fun. Would it kill you to say something nice for once? You ruined the whole atmosphere. Liam shot back with a devastatingly practical retort. What's the point of saying nice things? Didn't we agree? We have fun, but we don't do love. Cassandra froze. A flash of anger rose in her face, but she forced it down. She slumped against his shoulder, her energy gone. It wouldn't have hurt to just say it once, she mumbled. Just say it, Cassandra said, her voice a low murmur against his back. It's not that hard. Even if it's a lie, I'll believe you. I'd be happy to let you lie to me for the rest of my life. But Liam, as always, was a master of ruining the mood. He trudged through the last of the puddle, his silence a heavier weight than she was. We're past it now. You can get down. His tone was flat, devoid of emotion, and it stoked the embers of her frustration into a flame. She slid off his back, her feet landing on the damp pavement. Her eyes, burning with a mix of anger and hurt, locked onto his. She wanted to scream, to rage, but she forced it down, bottling the storm inside her. Being ignored was one thing. She wouldn't force a confession of love from him. Not yet. As long as he let her stay, that was enough. There was still time. She would wear him down. Even if he was a block of ice, she was determined to melt him. "You have to love me," she muttered, more to herself than to him. "Just once." Liam's heart twinged. "What did you say?" "I said," she snapped, her voice cracking. "Is saying I love you really that difficult for you?" He didn't answer, just stared at her, his expression unreadable. Not far away, huddled under a large oak tree, Jason Hamilton watched them, soaked to the bone and shivering. "That's him. Izzy, that's Liam. Why are you stopping me?" he hissed, grabbing his sister's arm, his face a mask of desperation. Isabel didn't answer. She couldn't be sure. It had been so long since she'd seen Liam, and the figure was just a silhouette under an umbrella in the misty rain. From their vantage point, she couldn't get a clear look. Her silence only enraged Jason. "Isabel, how can you still protect him? Have you forgotten what he did to us? He ruined our family. Penelope has an anxiety disorder, and Noelle is God knows where because of him." Isabel's patience finally snapped. She ripped her arm away, her voice a furious whisper. "Jason, stop it. It was your gambling that put us in this position. It was your actions that made us misunderstand him in the first place. I thought you'd finally learned your lesson, but you're still blaming everyone but yourself." Jason stared at her, stunned. Isabel had never been this angry with him. Tears welled in his eyes. "I knew it. You're still on his side. I never had anything growing up. He stole my life. Why can't I fight back?" Seeing the raw pain in her brother's eyes, Isabel's anger softened into weary resignation. "This isn't the time for that," she said, her voice softening. "Since he's staying at this hotel, it actually makes things easier. We'll find him after a shift. We'll make an exchange." Jason nodded, his desperation hardening into resolve. He held up 2 fingers. $2 million, Izzy. Not a penny less. "Fine," Isabel agreed without hesitation. For the CEO of Zenith Corp, $2 million was pocket change. Under a shared umbrella on the bustling Las Vegas Strip, Cassandra clung to Liam's arm, the very picture of a couple lost in the throes of new love. The earlier downpour had left puddles everywhere, and shoe stores had set out rubber boots. Liam, who believed shoes were merely for walking, ducked into the nearest one to buy a pair. Cassandra, however, wasn't looking at shoes. Her gaze was fixed on an elegant boutique next door, its windows displaying something else entirely. As Liam was trying on his new boots, she squeezed his arm. "You're coming in there with me next." Liam glanced over and grunted his assent. Sure. It was a decision he would regret almost immediately. The boutique's elegant facade was a front. Inside was a self-service store of a very particular nature. The moment he stepped through the door, Liam's entire body went rigid. Racks of colorful, barely there outfits assaulted his senses. He swallowed hard. "Maybe I should," he began, intending to say he'd wait outside. But Cassandra tightened her grip, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. "So, what do you want to see me in?" Liam's throat felt tight. He truly didn't understand this woman. So brazen, dragging him into a place like this in broad daylight. Her eyes were fixed on him, completely serious. "Go on, you pick. As compensation for everything, whatever you choose, I'll have Evelyn get it. And I'll wear it just for you." The words slipped out before he could stop them. "We could have just looked online. Why do we have to come into the store? We were just passing by," she said breezily. "Besides, I don't know your tastes. I need to understand your hobbies, don't I?" Her logic was so twisted he almost bought it. He grimaced. "Cassandra, we're in the middle of the Strip. Are you really dragging me into a store like this?" What he meant was, "You're a thorn. You have no shame." This time, she understood perfectly. She blinked, her gaze direct. "So what? You're my boyfriend. Isn't it normal for a couple to shop in a place like this?" The truth was, if she hadn't been cooking up a little scheme, she wouldn't have been so eager to bring him here. Their 1-week bet was flying by. If she couldn't make him experience something truly wonderful in that time, she would lose. And Cassandra Thorne hated losing. Faced with her bold, shameless declaration, Liam was out of options. A wicked idea sparked in his mind as he scanned the racks. "Fine, but are you sure you want me to choose?" A hint of a smile touched his eyes. "Of course," she declared. "I told you it's compensation. Pick whatever you want, and I'll personally model it for you." Liam met her gaze. "I like a French maid." The smile on Cassandra's face froze solid. Enjoying her stunned expression, Liam added with a smirk, "The kind that serves me tea and waits on me hand and foot." Her face fell completely. I think that little devil costume over there is nicer, she said, her voice strained. Liam shook his head. No, I think the maid is better. You're already enough of a devil most days, he thought. Cassandra's expression darkened. She stared at the frilly black and white outfit on the rack, looking horrified. Seeing her cornered, Liam had to suppress a laugh. He hadn't forced her into this. She had dragged him here. He was genuinely curious to see just how long the formidable Miss Thorne could maintain this new, accommodating persona before she finally broke. She was clearly wrestling with herself. When she caught the glint of amusement in his eyes, she knew he was doing it on purpose. But she'd already made the promise. Backing down now would mean admitting defeat. It was just an outfit, and he said he liked it. What choice did she have but to indulge him? Stepping out of the shop and back onto the bustling street, Cassandra seemed lost in thought. Liam, are you planning on staying here for a long time? He had never told her his plans, not even a hint. Now that her curiosity about him had been ignited, it was burning like a wildfire. Liam paused for a moment before shaking his head. I don't know. You don't know? The answer clearly surprised her. You don't plan on settling down anywhere? Settling down. Liam wanted that more than anything. His dream was simple. Find a quiet place to live, get an easy job, eat well, sleep soundly, and just coast through life. That had been his original plan. But then Cassandra Thorne had appeared, an unexpected variable, followed by the entire Landon clan. After everything that had happened, he knew the Landons would always be a factor. Cassandra, however, was a true wild card. He was quiet for a moment before answering softly. I'll probably be here for a little while. Oh, Cassandra said, nodding to herself. In that case, I'll have Evelyn arrange to have my essentials flown in. Liam blinked. He thought it was some deep, existential question, but it was just about her toiletries. The hotel has all that stuff, doesn't it? If you need something, just call room service. Cassandra shook her head dismissively. I can't use that stuff. The quality is terrible. She held up the back of her hand, a look of profound dissatisfaction on her face. Look, I haven't had a proper facial in days. The hotel's generic brands are useless. Staring at her delicate, flawless hands, Liam was reminded of just how different their worlds were. What do you normally use? I'll have Evelyn get some for you too, she offered, already pulling out her phone to text her assistant. For a moment, Liam didn't know how to respond. Cassandra's eyes lit up as if she'd had a brilliant idea. She put her phone away and grabbed his arm. Let's go to the supermarket. We can browse. I've never been to one. You've never been to a supermarket? The words flew out of his mouth before he could stop them. He immediately felt stupid. Of course she hadn't. Why would a billionaire heiress need to go to a supermarket when she could just have people bring her things? Come on, come on. I'm getting hungry anyway. Let's see what kind of food they have. She was already pulling him towards a massive supermarket across the street. Her mind focused on a single goal. She had to find common ground with him, fast. It was the best plan she could think of. She would soon regret it. In the skincare aisle, standing before shelves packed with countless brands, Cassandra turned to him. What brand of skincare do you use? She was an expert in this field. Whatever he said, she could turn it into a conversation. Liam's response was a conversation stopper. I don't use skincare. Cassandra froze, staring at the endless rows of bottles and jars. With all these brands, you don't use a single one. No. Liam nodded, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. If you mean like face lotion, I guess I sometimes use Cetaphil. Her eyes darted to the edge of the shelf, where a simple white bottle with blue lettering sat above a price tag that read $8.99. He puts that on his face. Liam picked up a bottle, a nostalgic look on his face. You know, it's been a while since I've used this. I was wondering why my face felt so dry after washing it lately. He tossed the bottle into their shopping cart. Cassandra's expression had turned to stone. She imagined leaning in to kiss him and tasting the remnants of an $8 drugstore lotion on his lips. No, she declared, snatching the bottle from the cart and placing it firmly back on the shelf. From now on, I will be in charge of your skincare regimen. Liam looked at her, confused. Why? No, why? Just no. There was no way in hell she was letting him use something so cheap, especially not if it might end up in her mouth. Seeing her absolute resolve, Liam just shrugged. It wasn't like it was a necessity anyway. They moved on to the snack aisle. Liam grabbed 2 large bags of potato chips and tossed them into the cart. Man, it's been forever since I've had these, he said wistfully. I used to live on these in college. Hey, what are you doing? Before he could finish, Cassandra had taken the chips out and put them back on the shelf. These make you fat, she stated, her tone dead serious. And they're full of additives. They're terrible for your body. Liam was flabbergasted. Cassandra, I'm just getting a snack, not making it my main course. I'm not going to eat them every day. That's fine, she said without missing a beat. If you want chips, I'll have my chef fry some fresh ones and have them flown over. Liam stared at her, speechless. A sudden craving for a couple of bags of chips required a private chef and an air freight delivery. He sighed, shaking his head. I really don't understand the world you rich people live in. Her face fell. She had been trying so hard to find common ground, and now she had only made him feel more distant. This was a disaster. Panicked, she grabbed the 2 bags of chips and put them back in the cart. If you want to eat them, then eat them, she stammered. I've never had this brand anyway. I'll try some too. As she frantically started grabbing other snacks off the shelves, Liam reached out and stopped her. You don't have to compromise your own tastes just to accommodate me. Feelings were one thing, but identity was another. He disliked the way she used to treat him, but he never wanted her to erase herself completely just to please him. A relationship like that wasn't worth starting. Cassandra's hand froze in midair. Her eyes widened in surprise. How'd you know what I was thinking? She asked, almost unconsciously. Liam chuckled. Is it that hard to tell? I'm not an idiot. His smile felt like a spotlight, exposing all her secret anxieties. Cassandra felt her cheeks flush. She quickly pulled her hand back, crossing her arms defensively. I was not compromising for you, she said, turning her head away with a huff. The childish gesture genuinely made Liam laugh. He couldn't resist teasing her. Then why did you put the chips back in the cart? I haven't seen them before. I want to try them. Really? Really? Oh, because I could have sworn I just heard someone say this stuff was unhealthy. I wonder which little puppy that was. You jerk. You're the puppy. Cassandra spun back around, her fist raised to punch him. But the moment her eyes met his, which were brimming with laughter, she froze. She'd been played. A blush crept up her neck. She lowered her arm, her expression shifting from defiant anger to a kind of wounded vulnerability. I was just trying to find something we have in common, she mumbled, her voice small. Otherwise, what did they have? She didn't want to wake up next to him and just watch him play on his phone. She wanted more than just what happened in bed. She wanted him to say the sweet things he whispered in the heat of the moment during the day, when they were just walking down the street. She wanted him to grab her hand and talk excitedly about random things, like normal couples did. She wanted to be the most special person in his heart, the only person, so he would never just leave her again without a word. But now, she realized they couldn't even find the most basic common ground. Their lives, their personalities, they were complete opposites. How could 2 people so fundamentally different ever make it work? Her eyes clouded over with a sudden, deep sadness. Seeing her expression, Liam's heart sank. For some reason, watching her get sad made him want to pull her into a hug. But, can you cook? He asked softly, breaking the heavy silence. The question pulled her out of her spiral. She looked up, confused. Cook? Yeah, Liam said, a small smile forming. We haven't eaten yet. If you can cook, maybe tonight. Cassandra cut him off, her voice suddenly urgent. Cooking? Yes, no problem. She grabbed his arm and pulled him eagerly toward the produce section. They could no longer stroll romantically in the rain. Loaded down with groceries, they were forced to hail a cab outside the supermarket. As the taxi pulled up to the Crimson Shell Hotel, Liam saw Evelyn Reed waiting by the entrance with Palmer and several other bodyguards. When Liam and Cassandra got out and opened the trunk, Evelyn and Palmer stared in shock as their boss pulled out a massive bag of romaine lettuce. Even behind his sunglasses, Palmer's jaw was hanging open. As Liam emerged with a plastic bag containing a whole, prepped chicken, Palmer muttered in disbelief, She's lost her mind. The boss has completely lost her mind. His deep voice snapped Evelyn out of her stupor. She smacked him on the arm. What are you staring at? Go help them with the bags, she barked, hurrying down the steps. Palmer jumped into action, waving the other men forward. Like a well-oiled machine, the bodyguards began unloading a mountain of groceries from the trunk. Bags of fresh vegetables, a large sea bass, a bag of shrimp tails, and an entire pork shoulder. Miss, you bought so many ingredients. Are you planning on catering a banquet? The question hung unsaid in the air. Cassandra linked her arm through Liam's, a proud smile on her face. I'm going to cook dinner. The words landed, and Evelyn's face froze. Palmer, holding a giant watermelon, stood perfectly still. The surrounding bodyguards were all stunned into silence. Their boss was going to cook? This was the same ruthless, terrifyingly efficient woman they knew. Cassandra looked up at Liam, a hint of uncertainty in her voice. You'll have to help me with that pork shoulder later. I've never handled one before. Sure, no problem, Liam replied with a grin, feeling perfectly relaxed with his hands free. It was nice having people to boss around. He glanced back at the bodyguards hauling the groceries. Be careful with that box, he called out casually. It's full of spices, and the cardboard is flimsy. The atmosphere instantly fell silent. Cassandra stepped onto the hotel stairs, wiggling her toes uncomfortably. Let's hurry upstairs. I need to change my shoes. They're full of water. As she walked, she gave Evelyn another order. Evelyn, I'm sending you a picture. I need you to get the outfit in the photo for me. Watching this bizarrely domestic scene unfold, Evelyn managed to force out a single word. Yes, miss. Upstairs in their penthouse suite, which came equipped with a full professional kitchen, the scene was still causing ripples. They were staying as guests of Rory, the owner, but Liam had insisted on paying for the room in full. A few extra groceries wouldn't be an issue, but the sight of a taxi being unloaded like a commercial delivery truck hadn't gone unnoticed. Whoa, look at all that stuff. Are they throwing a party in the hotel? No way. It's probably just a delivery for the hotel kitchen. That was a taxi. The hotel wouldn't use a taxi to ship ingredients. Someone snapped a picture and posted it online. In Las Vegas, it didn't take long for people to see it. Sylvia Shaw, who had just checked into a top-tier suite at a different hotel, was growing frustrated. Where should we even start looking? Her bodyguard asked. Sylvia had no idea. Coming to Vegas was just a hunch. She had no confirmation that Liam was even here. Maybe we should check the Crimson Shell Hotel, the bodyguard suggested. I just saw a post online about a taxi delivering a huge amount of groceries to their second location. Maybe Mr. Lynn is hiding out there. Impossible, Sylvia shot back instantly. He's with Cassandra Thorne. Do you really think a woman like that would ever buy her own groceries and cook? Use your head. The bodyguard fell silent. After a moment, Sylvia gritted her teeth. Start with the casinos. Spread our people out. Find him. The commotion of bodyguards hauling groceries down the top-floor hallway was loud enough to draw the attention of their neighbors. Chloe Xia and Leo opened their door to see what was happening. When they saw the sheer volume of food, they were stunned. Brother Liam, why did you buy so much? Chloe asked, stepping out into the hall. At her side, Cassandra's eyes flickered, but she said nothing, her grip on Liam's arm simply tightening. We're cooking dinner, Liam said with a smile. From the room opposite, Leo poked his head out. You don't need this much to cook dinner. That's enough meat for a week. Brother Foam, are you planning on showing off your skills? Liam shook his head, his gaze settling on Cassandra. He didn't betray her secret. Leo's eyes lit up. Well, since Chloe and I haven't eaten either, maybe we could— Leo! Chloe cut him off sharply before he could invite himself over. Didn't we say we were going out to eat tonight? She shot him a look, her eyes wide with meaning. Leo paused, his gaze falling on Liam and Cassandra's intertwined arms. The light bulb went on. Oh, right. We're going out. Chloe, are you ready? We should head downstairs. He'd almost made himself the third wheel to his former boss and his current meal ticket. Social suicide. Yeah. Chloe nodded enthusiastically. She closed their door, then turned to Liam. Okay, brother, we're heading out. If you need anything, just text me. We can pick it up on our way back. Liam started to say it wasn't necessary, but seeing the pair practically fleeing the scene, he just nodded and let them go. Inside the suite, the bodyguards deposited the groceries and left. Cassandra immediately found an apron and, with a bit of unfamiliar fumbling, managed to tie it around her waist. Seeing her succeed, Liam couldn't resist a jab. I'm surprised Miss Thorne even knows how to put on an apron. Cassandra's face stiffened. She shot him a glare. I don't cook, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to cook. Did he think she was an idiot? Sensing his I'm just here to watch the show attitude, she became even more determined. She pointed a commanding finger at the pork shoulder. That's your job. I'm going to wash the fish. Fine by me. Liam agreed readily, hoisting the pork and heading into the kitchen with her. He crouched on the floor, using a cleaver to start breaking down the meat, while watching her out of the corner of his eye. Cassandra unwrapped the sea base, placed it in the sink, and turned on the water. Then, right in front of him, she pulled out her phone. A moment later, a calm, instructional voice filled the kitchen. The simplest way to prepare steamed sea base. Liam's face went blank. Well, all right then. Technology really is changing lives. Cassandra set the video to 0.5x speed and began meticulously following the instructions to clean the fish. She could learn the steps online, but she couldn't learn the technique. Like chopping, the greens were easy enough, but when it came to the potatoes and ginger, she was stumped. Liam watched as the powerful, elegant woman held a chef's knife, staring down a small knob of ginger with a look of utter helplessness. You want me to chop that for you? He offered. I don't need your help, she snapped, rejecting his kindness. I can do it myself. A single thought echoed in her mind. I will not let him see me fail. It was just chopping. She wasn't so stupid that she couldn't learn this. Liam wisely shut his mouth and went back to his own task. Seeing his somewhat clumsy knife work, Cassandra, who who had been feeling defeated for a while, finally found something to laugh at. Well, I thought you knew what you were doing, but it looks like you're not much of an expert either. Liam paused. I've cooked before, Eris. But what kind of sane person buys an entire pork shoulder to cook for themselves? He glanced at her, still frozen with her knife, and shot back. Besides, I'm doing a lot better than you. You can't even cut a piece of ginger. You, she sputtered, speechless. Seeing Liam's movements suddenly become more efficient as he found his rhythm, she grew anxious. She took a deep breath, centered the knife over the ginger, and brought it down with force. The small knob was now 4 mangled chunks, which she unceremoniously shoved into the cavity of the fish. Next came the cooking wine. When she unpaused the video, she let out a sharp cry. Oh no! The shriek was so sudden Liam almost sliced his own hand. He recoiled, looking at her with exasperation. What is it now, Eris? I didn't buy a kitchen scale. She quickly washed her hands and grabbed her phone to send a voice message to Evelyn. Liam stared at her, completely baffled. Why do you need a scale? Just estimate. Absolutely not. Cassandra shook her head firmly. The recipe specifies the exact weight for every ingredient. If I'm off, the dish will taste terrible. Liam sighed. He supposed she had a point. Someone who had never cooked before wouldn't have a good feel for measurements. And he really didn't want to work for hours only to sit down to a culinary disaster. With nothing to do while she waited, Cassandra walked over to Liam. She tilted her head, a playful look in her eyes. I'm being so diligent. Aren't you going to praise me? Meeting her expectant gaze, Liam sighed. He was running out of compliments. He settled for the most generic one he could think of. You're doing great. Those 3 simple words were enough to fill Cassandra with renewed vigor. I've decided, she announced grandly. I'm going to make braised short ribs, a glazed pork roast, the steamed sea bass, and a few sautéed vegetable dishes. Listening to her ambitious menu, Liam's expression went from polite encouragement to speechless despair. He didn't want to crush her spirit, but if she was going to cook all that, they wouldn't be eating until midnight, and she wouldn't even let him help. He deeply regretted his suggestion. Why did he have to ask her to cook? Cassandra started cooking at 4:00 p.m. By the time all the dishes were on the table, it was 10:00 p.m. She had been cooking for 6 straight hours. Liam was so hungry his stomach felt like it was eating itself. At one point, he'd considered grabbing a small cake to tide himself over, but when he reached for it, he saw Cassandra in the kitchen, apron-clad, staring at him with a wounded look. It would have been rude. Besides, she was just as hungry as he was and still working. He sheepishly put the cake down. So they both starved for 6 hours. Staring at her creations, Cassandra sighed. Cooking is really hard. I think I need to give our chef a raise. Liam, already eagerly reaching for a piece of meat, glanced at her in surprise. It's only hard at the beginning, he said, piling food onto his plate. Professional chefs do it for so long it becomes second nature. But honestly, this looks amazing. He wasn't just being polite. For a first-timer, let alone a billionaire heiress, to produce such an impressive spread was worthy of praise. Cassandra's cheeks flushed with pride. Oof. I told you I could do it myself. Her expression turned anxious. Hurry up and try it. I'm afraid some of it might not be seasoned right. Don't worry, it smells incredible. It's definitely going to be delicious, Liam reassured her. Under her expectant gaze, he put a piece of meat in his mouth. His expression immediately froze. Cassandra's heart leaped in her throat. How is it? I followed the video tutorial step by step, and I weighed every ingredient to the gram. It shouldn't be too bad, right? No, it's not bad at all, Liam said after swallowing. The taste was interesting, but his hunger overrode everything. He didn't hesitate to grab another piece, then another, eating quickly. Seeing how fast he was eating, Cassandra bit her lip. If you don't like it, you don't have to force yourself. It's delicious, he mumbled through a mouthful of food. He offered a sincere evaluation. It's not quite at a restaurant level, probably because it's your first time, but to make something this good on your first try is incredible. He even gave her a thumbs up. You're way better than I was. This was the most sincere praise he had ever given her. Her heart soared, watching him devour the food she had made with her own hands. To have her efforts respected by the person she liked most. It was a pure, simple happiness she had never known. Then, Liam bit into something and his face contorted. He spat it directly into the trash can. Wait, is this a giant chunk of ginger? He sputtered, grabbing his glass of water and gulping it down. Cassandra winced. I couldn't cut it. Liam's face went stiff. He eyed the potato-sized chunks in the braised short ribs with trepidation. He cleared his throat awkwardly. It's fine. I'll just eat a little slower. And with that, he went right back to eating. He didn't complain. He was genuinely enjoying her effort. A warmth spread through Cassandra's chest, and she couldn't stop the smile from spreading across her face. From a side table, she picked up a small box. "What are you doing?" Liam asked mid-chew. "Aren't you hungry?" Cassandra pulled out a small, unmarked foil packet. "Putting on a face mask," she said, tearing it open. "The cooking fumes are terrible for your skin." As she spoke, she expertly applied the mask to her face while looking in a small hand mirror. To ignore a table full of hot food in favor of a skincare routine. Liam was dumbfounded. This woman was something else. Well, her loss. He was starving. He focused on his meal, making sure to leave half of every dish for her. 3 bowls of rice later, Liam finally put down his chopsticks and let out a satisfied burp. At the same moment, Cassandra's mask time was up. She peeled it off, picked up her own chopsticks, and delicately placed a piece of meat in her mouth. Her brow immediately furrowed. The texture, it was tough as shoe leather, stewed for so long it was nearly impossible to chew. Then she saw Liam's empty bowls. A wave of emotion washed over her. "It's this bad. How could you eat so much of it?" she asked, looking at his contented face with a mixture of disbelief and awe. "It's not bad," Liam said earnestly. "You probably think it's bad because you're used to gourmet food, but this is just normal home cooking. The flavor might be a little off, but it's still really good, especially for your first time." He hadn't just avoided criticizing her. He was making excuses for her. Tears welled in Cassandra's eyes. At that moment, she felt truly respected by him. And in return, she had tormented him, forced him into things he never wanted to do, and never once truly respected him. Gratitude and affection swelled within her. The more he acted like this, the harder she fell for him. She wanted to freeze this moment forever. She sat there, her chopsticks resting against her lips, lost in thought. Liam, now full, misinterpreted her silence. Thinking she found the food inedible, he felt a pang of guilt. After all, she had cooked all this for him. "If you really can't eat it," he offered, "there's still some meat and vegetables left in the kitchen. I can whip something up for you. Or I can have Evelyn go buy you something." He was still thinking of her. Cassandra almost broke down crying. After the day he had, how could she let him cook again? She should be the one apologizing. No, I'm not that hungry. I'll just eat a little." "That's not good enough. You haven't eaten all day. What if you get a stomachache?" Liam stood up. He wasn't trying to be a hero, but if the great Cassandra Thorne got sick from eating her own cooking, it would just be another problem for him. Watching him walk resolutely into the kitchen, Cassandra felt a prickle in her nose, and her eyes instantly turned red. It was already late, and Liam was worried Cassandra would get sick if she didn't eat. He kept it simple, quickly stir-frying some of the leftover meat and making a plate of scrambled eggs with tomato. "This is probably my best dish," he said, setting the plate on the table. "But I doubt it compares to your family's chef." The tomatoes were bright and juicy, the eggs soft and fluffy. The colors were vibrant. Even with her family's world-class chefs, Cassandra rarely ate something so rustic. The aroma stimulated her appetite. She picked up a spoon and immediately went for the eggs. "Wait," Liam said. "Aren't you going to mix it?" She looked at him confused. He pointed from the plate to her bowl of rice. Understanding dawned on her. "I rarely eat like that." Liam clicked his tongue. Eating rice without pouring the sauce over it is a crime against humanity. At his dramatic declaration, Cassandra raised an eyebrow. Then, she picked up her bowl and tipped the rice directly onto the plate of eggs and tomatoes, mixing it all together with her spoon. "Like this?" "Yes, exactly." Seeing the white grains of rice soak up the rich, red tomato sauce, Liam could almost taste how good that first bite would be. "When I used to work late, I never had time to cook a real meal, so I'd just make this. I always added extra water to get more of the tomato sauce. Go on, try it. That bite should be amazing." Listening to him chatter on, Cassandra took a spoonful. The moment it hit her tongue, the savory, tangy flavors exploded. Her eyes lit up. "This is really good," she mumbled through her mouthful, quickly taking another bite. Seeing her devour it like she'd never eaten before, Liam laughed. "Eris, have you really never had this?" Cassandra shook her head. "It's a high-fat food. I don't usually eat things this oily." The words high-fat made Liam pause. Okay, he was the uncultured one. He'd never been that picky in his life. He muttered, "So I guess you have to drink protein powder every day, too?" Cassandra smiled. "I'm not trying to bulk up." The happy meal finally ended. Full and content, they collapsed onto the sofa. After a cup of tea, Liam leaned back, exhausted. "Eris, what about those dishes? I really don't want to wash them." Cassandra, equally tired, rubbed her eyes. "Let's just call the maids." She rested her head on his lap. Liam draped his arms over the back of the sofa, tilting his head back. That was the lazy, domestic scene the cleaning staff walked in on. No one dared to say a word. It was too beautiful. The warm, golden light bathed the two of them, their stunning looks making the simple moment feel like a scene from a movie. As he lounged, Liam pulled out his phone. Cassandra watched him, finally asking the question that had been weighing on her mind. Liam, did you see the news online before? She meant her public declaration of love, broadcast for the whole world to see. Liam paused, his screen lighting up his face. He chuckled. I saw it. You saw all of it? She turned her head, her gaze meeting his strong jawline. Yeah, anyone with a phone saw it. It was everywhere. He didn't specify what he saw, but it was a direct enough answer. Her eyes flashed. Forgetting the maids were still clearing the table, she grabbed the front of his shirt. If you saw it, why didn't you answer me? How could I answer? He thought. You can afford to make the entire internet your billboard. I barely had enough money for myself. You think I was going to buy a trending topic just to reply to you? He didn't say it out loud, but his hesitation looked like guilt to her. What was in the past now? He was here. That's what mattered. Forget it, she said, her grip on his shirt softening. What's done is done. As long as you're here. She yawned, her exhaustion finally catching up to her. I'm going to take a shower, then we can sleep. I'm so tired. Neither of them had slept well. Liam nodded. You go first. I'll go after you. Okay. When Cassandra emerged from the bathroom, it was already 11 o'clock. Liam was half asleep on the couch. He saw her walk out, wrapped in a fluffy bathrobe, and he stumbled towards the bathroom, yawning. He brushed right past her, his eyes barely open. Cassandra, who had been standing there clutching her robe, her heart pounding with nervous anticipation, froze. She had just emerged, freshly showered and fragrant, and he hadn't even reacted. They say men stop trying once they've conquered you. Was this it? She stood there for a long moment, listening to the rustling sounds of him undressing in the bathroom. That was it. She couldn't take it anymore. She strode to the bathroom and threw the door open. What is the meaning of this? Liam, his hand frozen on his belt buckle, his upper body bare, stared at her, utterly shocked. What? What do I do now? Didn't you say you wash, then I wash? Cassandra's face was flushed red. She stared at him, her hands clutching her robe, her voice trembling with indignation. You didn't even compliment me. What am I supposed to compliment you on? Liam was completely lost. His eyes scanned her up and down, and then it clicked. You look great. It was far too perfunctory. Cassandra saw right through it. I used 3 rounds of body wash. You're not even going to tell me I smell good. Liam sighed. Oh no, she's gotten addicted to praise. Seeing the beautiful, formidable woman looking at him with wounded eyes, he gave in. He rebuckled his pants. You look beautiful, he said, his voice sincere this time. And you smell amazing. You did a great job, Eris. Cassandra was instantly satisfied. She nodded, and as she slid the door closed, she added, a good performance. But next time, maybe don't call me Eris. The door clicked shut. Liam looked at his reflection in the mirror. Faint red marks, the ghost of tiny teeth marks, were still visible on his neck. He sighed, lathering a bar of soap. Through the frosted glass, he could see her silhouette as she lay down on the bed. He knew he still had his work cut out for him tonight. 710. Izzy, this is the room, Jason whispered, crouching in the hallway. Why are we doing this so late? It's 11 o'clock. She's probably already asleep. Isabel shook her head. She won't be. At this hour, she's probably just getting in the shower. When she had been running Hamilton Industries, she rarely slept before midnight. For the CEO of a company as massive as Zenith Corp, 11 was just the beginning of her personal time. And even if she was asleep, that was even better. They could sneak in while she was groggy. Jason nodded, only half understanding. He hunkered down by the door of room 710, signaling to Isabel that he was ready. Isabel took a deep breath and knocked. As predicted, Evelyn Reed's voice came from inside. Who is it? Hi, it's hotel services. The manager said the previous guest left something in your room. Could you please open the door so I can retrieve it? There was a moment of silence. Just as Isabel's anxiety was about to peak, the door swung open. Evelyn stood there, wrapped in a white bathrobe, pushing her glasses up her nose as she sized Isabel up. Ma'am, hello. The guest who checked out 2 days ago said they left their wallet in the room. The manager sent me to get it. I'm so sorry to disturb you this late, Isabel recited, bowing her head respectfully. A wallet. Evelyn's eyes glinted. She stepped aside. Come in. Isabel's heart leaped. She nodded eagerly, and as she stepped inside, she exchanged a quick, meaningful glance with Jason. He gave a sharp nod. Are you traveling alone, ma'am? Isabel asked, making small talk as she entered the suite. Evelyn's eyes flickered to the corner of the main door, where the edge of a jacket was barely visible. She smiled serenely. Yes, just me. The company gave me some time off, so I decided to take a vacation. She deliberately turned her back to the door as she spoke. Isabel pretended to search the sofa cushions. Seeing Jason slip successfully into the bedroom, she straightened up. I'm so sorry. I must have the wrong room. I can't find the wallet. She bowed again, her face a mask of apology. I'm so sorry to have bothered you. Evelyn smiled graciously. No problem. Have a good night. Yes, ma'am. Isabel nodded and hurried out. As she stepped out of Evelyn's room, however, she came face to face with Chloe and Leo, who were just returning from a late-night food run. Chloe barely registered her, assuming she was just hotel staff. But Leo paused. He watched Isabel disappear down the hall, a puzzled look on his face. Chloe, he said, do you think a person's appearance can change if they're really stressed out? Of course, Chloe said, giving him a playful look. Look at me. Don't I look so much younger now that I'm not a wage slave anymore? Seeing her relaxed and happy, Leo blushed. Yeah. Chloe blinked. Leo, why do you ask? Do I look older? No, not at all, he said quickly, shaking his head. He stared down the empty hallway. It's just, that hotel employee looked really familiar. No way. You know people here? Chloe's tone was instantly laced with a hint of jealousy. With her brother occupied by Cassandra, Leo was her only companion. The thought of him having other friends here was unsettling. Leo scratched his head, frowning. Not really, no. But I think that woman looked a lot like Isabel Hamilton. What? The name sent a jolt through Chloe. Yeah, Isabel Hamilton. I saw her at the convenience store back in the day, but she was always so put together. That woman just now looked worn down. Leo couldn't be sure. He looked over and saw Chloe pulling out her phone. Chloe, what are you doing? I'm calling my brother, she said, her fingers flying across the screen. If that was really Isabel Hamilton, this is big trouble. The Hamiltons are bad news. They must be here to cause problems for him. Leo nodded. You're right. In the other suite, Liam was standing by the bed where Cassandra was lying, her eyes squinted into a thin line. You're done? She murmured. Yeah. Come around my back. She shifted, exposing her waist. Liam silently sat on the edge of the bed, his hands gently massaging her lower back. I don't know why my back is always so sore lately, she sighed. Liam was speechless. How could it not be sore? He thought. You make us go at it until the middle of the night every time. The temperature in the room was rising when Cassandra's phone suddenly rang. She picked it up with an annoyed sigh and answered it right in front of him. If this isn't important, Evelyn, you're finished. A few seconds later, the expression on her face changed. She glanced at Liam, then spoke into the phone. Are you sure? That one look sent a shiver down Liam's spine. Just as he was wondering what was going on, his own phone rang. The screen read, Incoming call, P8.She. He answered. Yeah, what's up? What? Are you serious? Don't panic. Don't move. She probably didn't recognize you. Just go back to your room and rest. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Liam gave his instructions and hung up. Cassandra shot up, grabbing his arm, a knowing smile spreading across her face. Was that Chloe? Liam blinked, about to ask how she knew, but then it clicked. What did Evelyn find? Cassandra beamed. 2 little rats. 2 of them, huh? Liam grinned back. Their eyes met, and as if on cue, they said in unison, this should be fun. The rare feeling of being perfectly in sync with Liam sent a jolt of pleasure through Cassandra. She looked at him, her voice a low, silky purr. So, do we injure them, or do we kill them? Without a moment's hesitation, Liam put his phone down, climbed onto the bed, and lay down beside her. Let's just injure them, he replied with a lazy smile. Killing them seems a little cruel. I seem to recall you being quite sympathetic towards them before, Cassandra mused, her voice a low purr. They were on the same wavelength, and she found it thrilling. Sympathetic? Liam scoffed. When was that? They treated you so horribly, yet you just walked away, giving up everything without a fight. She remembered the first time she'd met him. That look of serene indifference on his face. If that's not sympathy, what is it? Liam chuckled. Miss Thorne, I think you've misunderstood. Regardless of anything else, they raised me for over a decade, and they never mistreated me. People are bound by blood, or at least the illusion of it. That was their choice. Why should I have been vengeful? She had heard this argument before, but hearing it again, she couldn't help but be impressed by his character. But, you're taking action now, she pointed out. If I don't, people will think I'm a pushover, Liam replied with a smile. If they had just left me alone, I wouldn't have done a thing. My debt to the Hamiltons is paid, but they keep pushing. What, do you think I'm going too far? No, Cassandra shook her head. She propped herself up, her stunning face moving closer to his. I was just going to say, our relationship is just getting started. She hooked her arm around his neck, and as she laid back down, pulled him down with her. For Liam, this was familiar territory. He simply yielded, accepting her kiss. Outside, the storm had passed, leaving behind a howling wind that whipped through the trees, tearing leaves from their branches and sending them spinning into the night. "Turn off the light," Cassandra murmured, her eyes half closed. "It's too bright." "Okay," Liam replied, not even lifting his head as he reached out and flicked the switch by memory. With a soft click, darkness enveloped them. With sight gone, their other senses became sharper. The ticking of the clock, the sound of their breathing, and the sudden, jarring glow of Cassandra's phone on the nightstand. "Your phone's ringing," Liam said, his voice thick. "Ignore it," Cassandra whispered, pulling him closer. In the room next door, someone was about to endure a world of pain. The ringing stopped. "I guess it's over," Liam said, his mind momentarily drifting. Cassandra opened her eyes, annoyed by his distraction. "What's over?" she purred, her gaze hazy as she tugged on his collar. "We're just getting started." A wave of dizziness hit Liam as she pulled him down. He instinctively slapped her playfully on the backside. "Hey," he said. "What was that for?" she complained, a hint of outrage in her voice. "Let's switch positions." When he gestured for her to turn over, Cassandra's mood soured instantly. Her face flushed, and she glared at him. "Insolent. You are insolent." But as a lamb already on the altar, her fierce words came out as a breathy purr, fanning the flames rather than extinguishing them. Just as Liam was about to reply, his phone on the nightstand started ringing. Cassandra might ignore her calls, but he wouldn't. Right in front of her, he reached over and answered it. Seeing him so easily distracted while they were tangled together, Cassandra's fury ignited. She lunged, pinning him to the bed. "Brother, I think they're killing someone next door." Chloe's frantic voice came through the phone. "I heard screaming, but from Liam's end, the sounds were strange." "What are you doing, woman?" "Did I say you could answer the phone?" "Yes." "Gently. I'm on the phone. You answer your call. Let's see if you can do it without making a sound. If you can't help but cry out for your little sister to hear, that's not my fault." This time, the two voices came through loud and clear. Chloe, thinking her brother was in trouble, was about to throw open her door. But as her hand touched the knob, she heard another sound from the phone, a muffled moan that was hard to place as pain or pleasure. She froze. "No way. Are they?" The realization hit her. She stared at her phone in horror and hastily hung up. The screams from the other room continued intermittently, but Chloe was no longer listening. She leaned against her door, her face burning crimson as she replayed the sound from the call. Ding! Her phone rang, startling her. It was Leo. "Chloe, did you hear that? Should we go check?" "Brother phone." "Don't." Chloe cut him off immediately. "Brother is fine. I already called and confirmed. Let's not get involved. Go to sleep." In the room next door, Leo stared at his disconnected call, scratching his head in confusion. "Evelyn, the kid, just threw up. Should we continue?" Palmer asked, standing over Jason Hamilton, who was now a bruised, incoherent mess on the floor of Evelyn's suite. Evelyn glanced at her phone. No answer, it read. She called 3 times, and the boss hadn't picked up once. Recalling Cassandra's tone earlier, she had a pretty good idea what was happening. She gestured dismissively. "Continue. Just don't kill him." Palmer blinked. "We're still going?" "Yes, we're still going." "Stop asking stupid questions." Evelyn snapped. The boss's orders were to injure him. She didn't say when to stop. "You stop when she answers the phone." Palmer nodded and signaled to his man. The beating resumed. Jason was so battered he couldn't even scream anymore. But the punches were carefully aimed to avoid vital organs, inflicting maximum pain without granting the mercy of unconsciousness. It was hell. The beating lasted as long as their lovemaking. From deep in the night until the brink of dawn, for every moment of their pleasure, Jason endured a moment of pain. Afterward, as Liam lay against the headboard, he saw the 6 missed calls notification on Cassandra's phone. "Not going to call back?" he asked. "I'll deal with it tomorrow," Cassandra mumbled, snuggling against his arm, her face a picture of pure contentment. "What if they killed him by tomorrow?" Liam chuckled. "My people know what they're doing," she murmured. Just then, her screen lit up with a text from Evelyn. "Miss, he's unconscious." Liam raised an eyebrow, picked up her phone, and showed it to her. "See? Unconscious." Cassandra glanced at it with annoyance, then sent a quick voice message. "Call the police. Do I need to spell out the rest for you?" Her impatience was obvious. She tossed the phone aside and hugged him tighter. Liam saw the screen light up one last time with Evelyn's reply, understood. But what caught his attention wasn't the message. It was Cassandra's wallpaper, a candid shot of him looking out at the ocean, taken during the reality show. She'd been into him since then. In the darkness, listening to her soft, even breathing, Liam felt a complex wave of emotions. He hated having his plans disrupted, especially now that he had so much more to worry about. Chloe and Leo were one thing. They were his friends. But Cassandra was another. His feelings for her had become a tangled mess he couldn't decipher. He should have been furious when she hijacked his escape, but now all he felt was a strange sense of resignation. His affection for her was undeniably growing, especially now that she had softened, now that she was constantly, almost unconsciously, deferring to him and his choices. He looked at her peaceful face in the dim light. What happened next, he realized, was something he could no longer control. Just let it be, he thought. As the thought crossed his mind, exhaustion finally claimed him, and he drifted off to sleep. On the top floor of the hotel, only Liam and Cassandra's room was quiet. The rest were woken by the arrival of the police, called by Evelyn on the grounds that Jason had been a peeping Tom. Isabel, who had been waiting anxiously in the hallway, peeked out when she heard the commotion. She saw her brother, his face a swollen, purple mask, being carried out on a stretcher. She broke. Jason, what happened to you? Who did this? She cried, rushing forward and ignoring the police. Evelyn leaned against her doorframe, arms crossed, and glanced at Isabel. Officer, she said calmly. That's the woman who came to my room earlier claiming to retrieve something. I imagine that's when he snuck in to try and film me. All eyes turned to Isabel. That's impossible, she stammered. My brother would never do something like that. I was just getting something. Just then, Rory, the hotel owner, arrived on the scene. She looked at Isabel with cold disdain. Miss, may I ask who authorized you to get something from a guest room? The manager. The manager sent me. Isabel shot back, not recognizing Rory. The owner of this hotel is friends with my brother, Liam. We work here because of him. You can't just beat him up like this. With her brother's life on the line, her only hope was to cling to Liam's name. She knew he was on this floor. She had seen him herself. She shouted his name, her voice echoing down the hall, loud enough to wake Chloe and Leo. You're lying. Since when does my brother have a sister like you? Chloe yelled, throwing her door open. Miss Hamilton, your family is really shameless, Leo added, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. To be confronted by all these acquaintances, to see a mere bodyguard, like Leo, staying in a place like this while she'd been reduced to a disgraced maid. The fall from grace was almost too much for Isabel to bear. Rory recognized them from the online news. She shot Isabel a disgusted look and turned to the police. Officer, this woman was fired from my hotel this morning. They snuck in here to commit this disgusting act on their own. The security cameras in the hall will prove it. I can provide the footage. She then gestured for her manager to handle the rest and walked away, not sparing Isabel another glance. The words fired and surveillance made Isabel's head spin. You have no right to fire us, she shrieked at Rory's retreating back, her voice cracking. She collapsed onto Jason's stretcher, her weight causing him to groan in pain. Izzy, help me. Evelyn watched them with utter contempt and uttered two words. Pathetic morons. Then she went back in her room, leaving Palmer to handle the rest. By morning, the case was closed. With surveillance footage and multiple witnesses, Jason and Isabel's fate was sealed. Back in their slum apartment, Sandra Hamilton was about to wash her husband's face when the call came from the police station. Jason and Isabel were being prosecuted for conspiracy to commit illegal surveillance. Jason, beaten beyond recognition, was awarded a paltry $1,000 in damages from Palmer for excessive self-defense. The news was too much for the already frail David Hamilton. He fainted on the spot. Before Sandra could even process the legal disaster, she was rushing him to the hospital, where she was slapped with a $3,000 medical bill she couldn't pay. She brought him home in a daze, only to be met at the door by Marco and his loan sharks. They took the $1,000 in compensation money and stripped the apartment of anything of value. The Hamilton family was finished. There would be no coming back. And at that exact moment, Liam and Cassandra were leisurely enjoying their breakfast. Do you have any plans after we eat? Cassandra asked, taking a spoonful of yogurt. Plans? Not really, Liam replied. Cassandra paused. We can't just stay in a room all day, can we? Why not? Liam said casually. We could go for a walk this afternoon if we get bored. The point of vacation is to relax, right? Do whatever feels good. His nonchalance made her frown. She glanced at her phone, and a slow smile spread across her face. In that case, I'll be in charge of today's plans. Liam looked up, confused. I'm giving you a gift, she said with a mysterious smile. It's ready. We'll go pick it up later. A gift? Now he was really baffled. This was completely out of the blue. Yes. Cassandra finished her yogurt, wiped her hands with a napkin, and stood up. Finish eating and go get changed. Though surprised, Liam sped up. It was the first time Cassandra had ever offered him a gift. No, wait, there was that other time. The memory of the crystal necklace she tried to force on him when they first met made him shudder. It's not more jewelry, is it? Cassandra's smile widened, guessing what he was thinking. If you want, I can give you all of it. The thought sent a shiver down his spine, conjuring strange and unpleasant images. No, thanks, he said quickly. I'm a guy. I don't wear that stuff. Cassandra just chuckled and started tapping away at her phone. Liam quickly finished his breakfast and went to change into a fresh shirt. When he came out, she was waiting, a radiant smile on her face as she linked her arm through his. Downstairs, Evelyn was waiting with the car. Miss, those two are in custody, she reported as they settled into the back seat. Under local law, they'll both get 3 months. Our men were a little rough, so we had to pay $5,000 in damages. Evelyn trailed off as she caught sight of Cassandra leaning her head on Liam's shoulder in the rearview mirror, the picture of bliss. $1,000, huh? That's rough, Liam remarked dryly. He knew that after a run-in with Cassandra's people, Jason Hamilton would be lucky to ever walk straight again. It was just a shame he hadn't seen it in person. Feeling sorry for him, Cassandra murmured, lifting her head slightly. She toyed with his tie, wrapping it around her finger. Not at all. Just an observation, Liam said with a smile. He watched the scenery fly by. Now I'm actually a little excited to see what this gift is. In the driver's seat, Evelyn glanced in the mirror, her eyes filled with envy. Cassandra playfully brought the end of his tie to her lips and bit it gently. You'll see when we get there. 20 minutes later, the car pulled up to the airport. As they walked through the VIP terminal towards a private jet, Liam frowned. You're not giving me this plane, are you? Cassandra raised an eyebrow. If you want it, you can have it. So it's not the plane, Liam thought, his mouth twitching as he followed her on board. The flight from Las Vegas to Boston was 2.5 hours. Looking out the window, Liam saw the familiar patchwork of fields below. We're flying back to the mainland, Cassandra replied, not looking up from her book. Cassandra replied, not looking up from her book. The sudden disruption to his escape plan made Liam anxious. Cassandra, he said, the use of her first name a rare event. I'm not ready to go back yet. Hearing his own voice say her name sent a thrill through her. She nodded with a knowing look. I know. I know, she repeated, her tone firm but gentle. She looked at him with a reassuring smile. The gift is ready. After you receive it, we'll go right back. It's no problem. Seeing her so accommodating, so much like she was soothing a child, Liam didn't argue further. A private jet made things easy. And besides, the Landons were probably looking for him all over the world. They would never guess he'd circle back. Back in Las Vegas, the news of Isabel and Jason Hamilton's arrest was spreading. The family's name was mud. Even their landlord was trying to evict them. Sylvia Shaw, after a fruitless day and night searching the casinos, was about to call Lawrence Landon in frustration when a news alert popped up on her phone. Take me to the police station, she commanded her bodyguard, standing up abruptly. Yes, ma'am. In the visitor's room at the Las Vegas Detention Center, Sylvia came face to face with Isabel Hamilton. Separated by a pane of glass, Isabel sat slumped in her prison uniform, her face gaunt and defeated. Her once-long, silky hair had been cut into a short, severe bob. She looked 10 years older. The sight made Sylvia's nose wrinkle in disgust. Where is Liam? Sylvia asked, her voice sharp through the intercom. Liam. Ha, ha, ha. At the sound of his name, a flicker of light appeared in Isabel's dead eyes, only to vanish just as quickly. She mumbled his name, then broke into a strange, unhinged laugh. Sylvia took an involuntary step back. Stop playing dumb, she snapped. I'm asking you, where is Liam? Who were you trying to film? The person we were filming. Isabel mumbled, her gaze distant. Then, suddenly, her eyes snapped into focus. She pressed her hands against the glass, her gaze locked on Sylvia. Can you get me out of here? Get you out. Sylvia's eyes narrowed. A strange, twisted smile formed on her lips. Of course. Just tell me who you were filming and where Liam is, and I can get you out of here. Really? A spark of light flared in Isabel Hamilton's eyes, as if she'd just been thrown a lifeline. But after her gaze swept over Sylvia Shaw, the light dimmed. Who are you? Even if you could get me out, why should I believe you? The smile on Sylvia's face deepened. I'm Liam's fiancé. The moment the words fell, Isabel's eyes went wide. A second later, as if her sanity had returned in a rush, she shouted, Wait, are you Sylvia Shaw? I am, Sylvia said, her smile unwavering as she tapped a finger on the stone counter, separating them. Do you think Shaw Pharma has the power to get you out of here? Hope exploded in Isabel's eyes. Ms. Shaw, it's you. Thank God it's you. She clutched the intercom receiver, her voice desperate. Liam doesn't know. He doesn't know we're here. Please, tell him we're trapped. He'll come save us. I'm his sister. He'll definitely come. Sylvia's eyes narrowed, her voice a gentle lure. Of course. Just tell me everything, and I'll go find him as soon as I leave. Okay. Isabel was ecstatic, stumbling over her words. It was Marco. Marco told us to get compromising photos of Evelyn Reed. He said she was the CEO of Zenith Corp. She rushed to explain, terrified Sylvia would misunderstand. I didn't want to do it at first, but Liam used to work for that company. I was going to take the pictures to him, to warn him. I never meant to send them to Marco, but then they beat up my brother. Sylvia's tone turned sharp as ice. The location? The Crimson Shell Hotel and Casino. Sylvia raised an eyebrow. Thank you. She moved to switch off the intercom. Seeing this, Isabel panicked. Ms. Shaw, wait. You have to tell Liam we're here. Please. But before any relief could set in, she saw Sylvia pick the receiver back up, her face twisting into a mocking sneer. Why would I tell him? Isabel froze. But you just promised. She tried to argue, but Sylvia cut her off, not giving her the chance to finish. When did I promise you anything? Is there a third person in this room? She glanced at the guard beside her, who promptly looked up at the ceiling as if fascinated by a water stain. Her last sliver of hope shattered. Isabel was completely stunned, staring blankly at Sylvia. Seeing her broken expression, Sylvia twisted the knife. Let me put it this way. The news about your little paparazzi stunt is all over the internet. There's no way Liam hasn't seen it. So, if he already knows you're here, but hasn't come to see you, care to guess why? Isabel couldn't speak. Finding Liam had become her singular obsession. He had always been so obedient, so accommodating to the Hamiltons. She'd never questioned it. But Sylvia's words were a meteor crashing into her world. Why? She finally choked out. Because he never wants to see you again, Sylvia said, her voice dripping with scorn as she dropped another bomb. Or, to put another way, you're being thrown in here. This entire mess from start to finish was all part of his plan. Isabel's eyes were vacant. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Smiling sweetly, Sylvia added one final, devastating blow. Oh, and one more thing you should know. The real head of Zenith Corp is a woman named Cassandra Thorne. Evelyn Reed is just a dog on a leash, a decoy. All your efforts were a complete waste of time. Isabel swayed, her body trembling. The guard inside the cell caught her just before she collapsed. The attack was complete. Sylvia had no interest in wasting another breath on her. She stood, looking down at Isabel with pure contempt, and snapped, Honestly, the way your family operates makes me sick. And as a woman, I find your behavior particularly disgusting. You hide behind righteous excuses, but you're rotten to the core. People like you are a waste of air. With that, she slammed the receiver down, opened the door, and spoke to her bodyguard. Find a few people inside. Let Ms. Hamilton here feel a little affectionate care. If she dies, she dies. Just say it was a prison fight. Understood. The bodyguard nodded curtly. Sylvia didn't linger. She rushed to the Crimson Shell Hotel and Casino, heading straight for Rory's office upon arrival. You're looking for Liam? Rory's eyes narrowed, taking in Sylvia's furious, unapproachable demeanor. He's not staying here. He left today. Left? Sylvia's temper flared. She had come here at a dead run the moment the news broke, and now she was being told Liam was gone. That's right. Rory nodded. She immediately pieced it together. This had to be Sylvia Shaw, the heiress from the engagement. But Liam had a girlfriend now, one he openly acknowledged. Rory had seen Liam and Cassandra together constantly these past few days, laughing, talking, even cooking together in the hotel kitchen. She'd even tried to warn Cassandra about this exact situation. She had no intention of getting caught in the crossfire. He left this morning. If you need him, why don't you give him a call? Rory said, her face a blank mask as she offered the useless advice. Sylvia was no fool. She could see Rory was stonewalling her. Rory, whatever you're trying to hide, just remember this. I am Liam's rightful fiancée. Cassandra had said the same thing. Both women radiated the same hostile, possessive energy. Rory's expression didn't change. She just looked at Sylvia with something like envy. How nice. Seeing you young people chase love with such passion. It really makes me feel old. Sylvia didn't have time for games. I'll ask you one thing. Did he check out? A flicker of amusement crossed Rory's eyes, her smile unreadable. No, he didn't. Maybe he'll be back tonight. Give me a room. Whatever floor they're on, I want the same one. Having gotten the answer she needed, Sylvia didn't hesitate. She stood and left the office. Staring at her retreating back, Rory's smile widened. How interesting. Two women, both storming in here in a fury. Oh, Liam, you can't blame me for enjoying the show. This is just getting good. The private jet circled once before descending, landing in a clearing beside the ocean. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows. Cassandra Thorne closed her book, her gaze fixed on Liam with a mixture of anticipation and playful desire. We're here. That was fast, Liam remarked. The movie he'd started had just ended. He had to admit, he was curious about what gift Cassandra had in store for him. Put this on. Cassandra produced a strip of black silk from somewhere. Liam understood. He took it, a wry smile on his face. When I open my eyes, this isn't going to be another one of your dungeons, is it? He remembered his first escape from Black Lake Manor and the unsettling facilities in the basement. Cassandra shot him a glance, lifting her chin with a touch of her old arrogance. That was my father's setup. I only ever used it to scare people. Scare people? Liam paused, then chuckled. Well, it was definitely effective. You scared the hell out of me. Oomph. Smooth talker, Cassandra muttered, then urged him, hurry up and put it on. Stop wasting time. Liam raised an eyebrow, glancing at the black silk in his hand. He hesitated. What if you're tricking me? It wasn't that he didn't want to trust her. He couldn't help it. After everything, it was hard for him to trust anyone, especially the beautiful monster who had once tormented him. The question seemed to catch her off guard, as if she hadn't considered that the trust between them was still so fragile, or that, for Liam, it was practically non-existent. A flicker of pain crossed her features, but she quickly suppressed it, seeking confirmation. Am I really that untrustworthy to you? Liam's mouth twitched. He answered honestly. Why don't you think back on what you did to me before? Ugh. His words shut her down completely. She looked at him, her eyes filled with self-reproach. What happened before was my fault. I promise, this time, I really am giving you a gift. She lowered her head, her voice dropping to a near whisper, an earnest, humble plea. Please, trust me, just this once. Liam had been ready with a retort, but her quiet appeal disarmed him completely. In that moment, he found it impossible to say no. She stood before him, still possessing her usual icy pride, but was now softened, sanded down by a vulnerability he'd never seen. A tremor went through him. His mind still wanted to refuse, but his hands were already moving, no longer under his control. In silence, he wrapped the black silk around his eyes, tying it securely behind his head. Okay, he said, his voice low. His quiet compliance was a resounding affirmation, giving Cassandra a surge of confidence. She beamed, looping her arm through his and leading him down the jet's ramp. Careful, there are stairs, she murmured, her voice soft with a concern that was still so new, so jarring to him. Her tone was so gentle it made his heart beat faster against his will. They walked for 5 minutes before he felt her stop. He halted beside her. We're here. She moved behind him, stood on her toes, and untied the blindfold. As the silk fell away, a colossal estate rushed into his vision. Directly ahead was a massive fountain with an ornate white marble sculpture at its center. Beyond it stood a palace that looked like something out of fairy tale, a backdrop he'd only ever seen in movies. With the sound of waves crashing on the shore behind him, the scene felt as unreal as a mirage. This is my gift to you, Cassandra said, gesturing to the manor. Her tone was casual, as if she were handing him a trinket. From today on, this estate is yours. You can name it, and I'll have him put up a sign. She watched him, her eyes shining, eagerly awaiting his stunned reaction. This was Cassandra's style, all right. If she had been subtle, he would have thought she'd been possessed. Liam wasn't just stunned. He was trying to process it. His gaze drifted past the manor. To the right, a large section of the garden was partitioned off with massive temporary walls, making it impossible to see what was inside. What's over there? He asked, puzzled. Cassandra's eyes twinkled. That's also a gift for you. But you can't see it until tonight. She tightened her grip on his arm. Come on, don't you want to see the inside? He really did. His expression hardening with resolve. Liam nodded. Yeah. As they entered the estate, a security guard approached, respectfully handing Liam a red leather-bound folder. Sir, please accept this. It was the deed to the property. Liam's heart sank, but in a good way. Looking at the folder, a strange sense of belonging washed over him. Cassandra watched him, smiling. What's wrong? You don't like it? No, it's not that. Liam took the folder. The weight of it in his hands felt like an anchor, giving him a sense of security he hadn't felt in years. She had just handed him ownership of this place. He had no idea when she had even started planning this. After drifting for so long, Liam felt, for the first time, a sense of home. This was his property, his harbor in the storm. It was a gift from Cassandra, A simple little gift. When did you start preparing this? He asked, unable to keep the question in as they walked into the manor side by side. Not long ago, Cassandra answered casually. This was originally supposed to be my personal rosewater estate. All the facilities were designed to my specifications. It's just that. She trailed off, stopping to face him. Her gaze was intense, her voice utterly serious. I felt like you didn't have a sense of security. After thinking about it, I decided the most fundamental security comes from having a place of your own. So, I had to make some urgent modifications. It wasn't just a feeling she'd had. It was what Rory had told her. Liam doesn't have a home. After leaving the Hamiltons, he had been adrift, constantly on the run because of her. He'd never had a proper place to call his own. She didn't know how to give him the security he needed, a fact proven by his deep-seated distrust on the plane. But right now, she was nervous. She didn't know if this was the right move, but when it came to the kind of security that money could buy, she would never be stingy. Listening to her, Liam was in disbelief. When had she started thinking like this? She had always been so self-centered, so oblivious to the needs of others. And now, she was thinking of him. Cassandra watched him anxiously. So, she asked, her voice soft, "Do you like it?" Liam's lips parted, but no words came out. Faced with Cassandra's expectant, nervous gaze, he couldn't bring himself to say no. It felt as if a single word of rejection would shatter her. After all the thought and effort she'd put in, he couldn't deny her this. Meeting her anxious eyes, he nodded. "I love it." A wave of pure joy washed over Cassandra. The grip on his arm tightened. "Good. As long as you love it. From now on, this place is yours. When you're tired, you can come back here to rest. There's a helipad over there. I'll have Evelyn arrange for a helicopter for you. And of course, if you want to learn to fly, I'll find you a private instructor." She chattered on, more talkative than he'd ever seen her. Everything she had done, her every reaction now, was all for a single word of approval from him. To say he wasn't moved would be a lie. Liam's heart hammered in his chest. In that moment, Cassandra was no longer the terrifying demon from his nightmares. She was a woman with an iron will, a controlling streak, and a brain completely short-circuited by love. If this continued, he was going to lose their bet. There was nothing he could do about it. He had no intention of faking his feelings. He had to follow his heart. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to see Cassandra for who she was now, not just who she had been. Perhaps she wasn't as terrible as he remembered. Standing in the garden, Cassandra pointed to a vast, empty flower bed. "I haven't decided what to plant here yet. You should think about it. What kind of flowers would you like?" After a moment, Liam said, "Roses." "Roses? Any particular reason?" she asked. "No, they're just beautiful." "All right, then let's plant red ones. I like things that are passionate and intense." Just like her feelings for him, fiery and never hidden. Liam smiled faintly. "That's fine. All right, let's go see inside," Cassandra said, suddenly grabbing his arm again. "I told them to set it up according to my tastes, but I don't know if it will suit you." From the outside, the estate was opulent, a true palace. Even though Liam had seen his share of luxury, he had never witnessed anything on this scale. He was genuinely curious. The moment he stepped inside, however, the sheer, unadulterated wealth was staggering. It was definitely Cassandra's style. The main hall alone was glorious. If he were to trip and chip a single floor tile, he was pretty sure he couldn't afford the repair bill. That's the fitness wing over there, pool, and a full gym. Outside is the golf course. Oh, and that's the game area. You can check it out. Billiards room, all that stuff. There's not much else. I don't really have many hobbies besides reading. Cassandra stated it all as fact, completely accustomed to this level of extravagance. Listening to her tour, Liam swallowed hard. A place this massive. Forget repairs. The management fees alone would be astronomical. His gaze fell on a crystal spiral staircase in the corner of the hall. He could afford to buy it, but could he afford to live in it? Never mind the facilities. A single chandelier hanging from the ceiling probably cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. He had money now, but his $300 million wouldn't even buy a plot of land here. "Cassandra, I think this is a little too much," he said finally, unable to hold it in. He couldn't help it. He was born poor. The chasm between them was drawn the moment he was conceived. No matter how hard he tried to catch up, he was only ever reaching someone else's starting line. Too much. Cassandra frowned, confused. "I thought it was fine. From buying the land to construction, it only cost a little over $3 billion. Is that a lot?" Liam was speechless. Over $3 billion, given away just to see him smile? He sighed. "It's too much for me. And the maintenance costs. I don't think I can." "Oh, you mean that?" Cassandra realized what he meant and smiled. "Well, you could just marry me. Then not only this, but all of the Thorne family assets will be yours too. Her words completely shut him down. Seeing his silence, Cassandra realized now wasn't the time for that kind of talk and gave an awkward laugh. Just kidding. Don't worry. The Thorne Group oversaw the construction. You only have to pay the security staff salaries. If anything needs repairs, they'll send people to fix it. Then, as if worried he still wasn't convinced, she quickly added, "It was my father's request." The meaning was clear. The Thorne family would always have his back. Not just Cassandra, but Caleb Thorne himself. A warmth spread through Liam's chest. It meant Caleb knew about this gift. They were both, in their own ways, trying to give him a home. "Thank you," Liam said, caught completely off guard. He didn't know what else to say. He'd never been good with words when it came to emotions, and all his feelings were condensed into those two. For Cassandra, however, they were the highest praise. Visibly relieved, she smiled, a genuine, satisfied smile, and held his arm tighter. "You don't have to thank me. As long as you like it." Liam's gaze shifted, landing on her. The red folder in his hand was proof this wasn't a dream. This was real. On this unremarkable day, she had given him the most remarkable gift. "Let me have Evelyn call the chefs over," she said, pulling out her phone. Her eyes flickered toward the partitioned-off area outside, a secret, happy glint in them. There's another surprise later tonight. Having seen the estate, Liam was now incredibly curious about what was hidden outside. He nodded and sat down on the sofa with Cassandra. A convoy of cars soon arrived, and a dozen staff members began bustling about, just as they had at Black Lake Manor. Soon it was time for dinner. The Thorne family chefs had prepared a magnificent feast, a welcome indulgence after so long on the road. After they ate and rested for a bit, Cassandra grabbed his hand impatiently. "Let's go for a swim." Swimming. Liam looked up, glancing at the hot sun outside. A day like this, wasn't she afraid of getting burned? "Yes." Cassandra nodded, a hint of a pout in her voice. "You went swimming with Riley, but we've never gone swimming together." If she hadn't mentioned it, Liam would have forgotten it had even happened. Seeing the wounded look in her eyes, his heart lurched. Seriously? She's still holding a grudge over that. It was a good idea. He'd been cooped up in a hotel for days and was starting to feel restless. A swim sounded perfect. "All right, let's go change," Liam agreed readily. Cassandra's face lit up, and she went with him to the master bedroom. A servant had already laid out some casual clothes and swimwear. Liam changed quickly and came out to wait. A moment later, the bedroom door opened, and Cassandra appeared, clad in a sleek, white one-piece swimsuit. Her long hair was piled high on her head, and the stark white of the suit made her skin look like snow, the two almost melting into one. Even though he'd seen her in less, the sight of her now still made his heart skip a beat. "What? Don't I look good?" Cassandra arched an eyebrow, her voice laced with a playful threat as she walked toward him. No, Liam said, awkwardly adjusting the waistband of his swim trunks. "Of course not. You look amazing." "Humph," Cassandra snorted, a touch of arrogance in her tone. "If you dare to say I didn't, it would just prove you have terrible taste." Liam blinked. There's something weird about that logic. But he let it go. He just wanted to get in the pool and move his body. He gestured toward the pool. "After you, my lady. Let's see what you've got." Cassandra lifted her chin haughtily. "I've got plenty." Despite her words, she willingly placed her hand in his, and they walked to the edge of the pool together. Just as she was about to say something, a shadow blurred past her. Liam executed a perfect dive into the water. A huge splash erupted, soaking the robe she was wearing. Droplets dotted her face. "You could have warned me," she said, annoyed. "You scared me. This way is more fun." Liam wiped his face, pushing his wet hair back. He grinned and beckoned to her. "I thought you wanted to swim. What's wrong? Are you scared to get in?" "Who said that?" Cassandra couldn't stand being challenged. Her face flushed, and she bent down, reaching for Liam's hand. But before she could react, Liam tightened his grip and gave a sharp tug, pulling her clean off her feet. She didn't even have time to scream. Her body tilted forward, and she plunged straight into Liam's arms. Water sprayed everywhere. When Cassandra surfaced, her hair clinging to her forehead, her icy face was flushed with anger. "What was that for? Why did you pull so hard?" Her words died in her throat as she realized she was in Liam's embrace, his hands resting on her waist. "You were just standing there daydreaming. I thought I'd help you out," Liam said, an amused smile on his face as he looked at her, so close. She truly was beautiful, breathtakingly so. Even this magnificent estate paled in comparison to her. And the swimsuit, wrapped around her like a silk ribbon, showcased her flawless skin, a unique temptation just for him. The sight of his handsome face, so close, made Cassandra's heart race. Her cheeks burned. You did that on purpose, she murmured. Her voice was soft and delicate, a stark contrast to her usual proud expression. It only made Liam want to tease her more. He gave her waist a playful squeeze. Still playing tough. A slight twinge of pain shot through her side. Cassandra frowned, about to retort, when a thought struck her. She arched an eyebrow and fired back without hesitation. Please, at least it's just my words that are tough. Unlike some people whose mouths aren't the only things that are hard. He hadn't expected such a direct attack. Liam froze for a second, the fire sheet ignited, now impossible to extinguish. He tightened his grip on her waist, pulling her flush against him. Fine, he growled, the heat in his eyes scorching. You're about to be there in the pool, with water splashing around them. He lowered his head and crushed his lips to hers. Cassandra hadn't anticipated him being so forward. The first touch of his lips sent a jolt through her, so powerful that the cool water of the pool suddenly felt warm. The midday sun beat down on them as they kissed, lost in their own world. A few moments later, Cassandra's breathing grew heavy. Her dazed eyes met Liam's and saw a storm brewing within them. Wait! She suddenly raised a hand, her fingertips pressing against his lips. What's wrong? Shy. Liam's voice was hoarse, thick with desire. No. Cassandra's face was the color of a ripe cherry. Let's wait until tonight. I can't wait. The response was instant. It was the first time he'd been this forward, and he didn't want to be denied. But Cassandra gently shook her head, insisting, tonight. Not now. Remembering her past boldness, her habit of propositioning him anywhere and anytime, Liam was confused. Why the reluctance now? Why? A little public for you? Are you nervous? What are you talking about? Cassandra suddenly became defensive, pushing him away. Of course I'm not nervous. And what do you mean, public? When have I ever done something like that? As she pushed him away, the cool water rushed between them, dampening the fire somewhat. Liam's reason returned. He looked at her with a knowing smile. My lady, you've done things like that quite a few times, haven't you? Cassandra was speechless, unable to form a rebuttal. Her face flushed a deep red. Anyway, not now. It has to be tonight. Tonight, you'll understand. It has to be tonight? Liam instinctively glanced at the massive partitions in the distance. Don't tell me it's that. No. Stop asking. Cassandra said, flustered, as if terrified he'd guess her secret. She quickly turned and began swimming away. Let's just swim for now. She'd said enough. It was obvious Cassandra had another surprise planned for him. After a moment's thought, Liam didn't press her further. Watching her elegant, standard swimming form, a look of admiration crossed his face. All right, let's swim. He raised his hands, creating a splash, and swam alongside her, gliding through the clear water of the pool. The Crimson Shell Hotel and Casino. In her hotel room, Sylvia Shaw scrolled endlessly through her phone, occasionally listening to reports from her subordinates. An entire morning had passed, and there was still no sign of Liam. Already gone, Sylvia grew more and more anxious. According to her intel, Cassandra wasn't here either. Worse, at her command, Rory had provided security footage from the hotel entrance. The video clearly showed Liam and Cassandra leaving together that morning. The thought of them off somewhere together, their feelings for each other deepening by the minute, was enough to make her see red. She was always one step behind. She had searched for him for so many years. The elation she felt when she finally found him was matched only by the devastation of him fleeing their wedding. Sleep had become a stranger to her. Every time she closed her eyes, she was haunted by the image of Liam and Cassandra smiling at each other. She couldn't take it anymore. Tell our people to expand the search. I'm going to, Sylvia said, jumping to her feet. She commanded her men, but as she stormed out of her room, she saw a door open just down the hall. Chloe Xia and Leo emerged, laughing, but their smiles froze the moment they saw Sylvia. Where is Liam? Sylvia strode forward, getting straight to the point. Her tone was so harsh, a complete reversal of her previous gentle demeanor, that Chloe and Leo both froze in shock. Seeing their silence, Sylvia's face darkened. She stared at them, her voice dripping with menace. I asked you, where is Liam? Her voice was sharp, and the two of them tensed. Chloe was silent for a moment before challenging her, her voice trembling slightly. Why are you looking for my brother? If Sylvia was here, it meant the Landon family was likely looking for them too. The question made Sylvia want to laugh. She stared down at Chloe, her tone mercilessly sarcastic. What do you think? She was his publicly acknowledged fiancée. Why else would she be looking for him? Seeing Sylvia's expression grow uglier, Leo instinctively stepped in front of Chloe. Liam isn't with us, he said firmly. We don't know where he is. If you want to find him yourself. We don't know. You don't know. Sylvia laughed, a sound devoid of humor. She barked an order to her men. Tie them up. Don't let them go until they tell me where Liam is. You wouldn't dare. Chloe shot back, panicked. Her brother had no weaknesses, and she and Leo had sworn they would never become one for him. Wouldn't I? Sylvia sneered. On my wedding day, the two of you conspired to help my fiancé escape. You think I don't know? So what if you know? Don't you know why my brother ran? He doesn't love you. Chloe retorted without hesitation, her hand nervously clenching the hem of Leo's shirt. Her voice wasn't loud, but the words "he doesn't love you" pierced Sylvia like a dagger. Already simmering with rage, Sylvia finally snapped. Her face flushed, and she screamed at Chloe, "That's bullshit. How could he not love me? Do you know anything about our history? Who are you to stand there and judge? I don't care what your history is. All I know is my brother doesn't love you now. If he did, why would he go to such lengths to escape? How can you force someone who doesn't love you to be with you?" Chloe's voice was clear and strong. Even Leo, standing in front of her, glanced back impressed. He'd rarely heard her speak so rationally, and she was saying exactly what he was thinking. But it was as if Sylvia didn't hear her, or rather, only heard what she wanted to hear. She gestured furiously to her men. "Lock them in my room. Don't let them contact Liam without my permission." "You can't do this," Chloe cried out, but against Sylvia's two trained bodyguards, she was powerless. Seeing a guard grab Chloe's wrist, Leo's eyes went red. "Let her go," he roared, throwing a punch. The two men began to scuffle in the hallway. Fearing they would attract attention and end up on the local news for Liam to see, Sylvia issued a sharp warning. "I'd advise you not to struggle. If I dare to come here, you can bet I brought more than just two men." Chloe collected herself. "What do you want?" "Nothing. I just don't want you tipping him off. Think of it as me inviting you to my room for tea," Sylvia said with a strange, chilling smile. She patted Chloe's shoulder. "Don't worry. You're Liam's sister. I won't do anything to you. As soon as he comes back and I see him, I'll let you go." Chloe and Leo exchanged a look. They knew they weren't getting out of this today. They stopped struggling. "Fine," Chloe said finally. "Tell them to let me go. We'll walk." The estate. The afternoon slipped away. Liam and Cassandra had a leisurely afternoon tea by the pool. The sky began to darken, and evening arrived without them noticing. Liam was genuinely anticipating what was inside those partitions and what other activities Cassandra had planned for the night. As dusk settled, Liam, having just changed after swimming all afternoon, came out of the bedroom to see Evelyn Reed approaching him with a remote control. At the same time, a large monitor on the living room wall came to life, showing a live feed of the estate grounds. Staring at the remote, Liam was surprised. "What's this?" "This is a gift from Ms. Thorne," Evelyn explained, her voice tinged with envy. "Press the button, and the gift box outside will open." Liam's eyes widened. Wow, they really went all out. Whatever was in there must have a pretty elaborate frame. He took the remote just as Cassandra, also changed, emerged from her room. "Go on, open it. See if you like it." Liam hesitated for a second, then moved his thumb to the button and pressed. On the screen, the massive partitions outside collapsed with a crash. At the same instant, the sky outside the living room window exploded with a deafening roar of fireworks. Staring at the screen, then through the floor-to-ceiling windows at the brilliant display, Liam was utterly frozen. Is this an amusement park?" "Yes," Cassandra murmured, her gaze fixed on the blooming fireworks outside, her eyes deepening with memory. She remembered the gift Liam had given her. Fireworks on the beach, a wild ride on horseback. Even though he'd never given her anything since, the romance of that night was eternal. At the estate, the booming of fireworks was endless. 10 miles away, people saw the display. A sky full of blossoming light could only mean one thing. Someone was staging a grand romantic gesture. Trending topics lit up social media. Hashtag East River Fireworks. No one knew the exact location, but the dazzling display drew countless viewers. People on the bridges overlooking the water even started live streams. "I think that's a private estate over there," a streamer said, pointing his phone at the sky. Driven by the trending hashtag, viewers flooded into any live stream showing the fireworks. The chat exploded. "So far away, can't see anything. Streamer, get closer. The stream next door is way clearer. You using a potato for a phone? Bro, what phone you using? Don't be shy." The colorful bursts rained down from the sky. Each one was fleeting, but the overall effect was breathtaking. Based on the quality alone, everyone knew these fireworks were outrageously expensive. The internet was abuzz with speculation. WTF, it's not a holiday. Who's setting off this many fireworks? Damn, was that a blue peony? A big one like that has to be at least 10K, right? 10K? Are you kidding me? I bought a Roman candle for $1,000 once. That one had to be at least 100K. Just to hear a bang. You don't get it. Rich people want the spectacle. It's for romance, you idiot. Sigh. Some people spend fortunes to watch fireworks, and some people can't even afford to see a doctor. This world is wild. Within moments, the story was everywhere. A mysterious billionaire near the East River was spending a fortune on a romantic display, all to win someone's heart. At the estate, watching from inside, Liam saw a brilliant blue firework explode, its sparks raining down before him. As the light faded in midair, it felt like standing in a magical realm. Why? His gaze grew distant as he mumbled, "Why give me all this?" Cassandra turned to him, her eyes serious. "I looked into your past. I know your time living with the Hamiltons must have been hard. So, I wanted to give you childhood. The kind of childhood where you can play freely in an amusement park." Her words were like oil being slowly heated in a pan. The moment it was hot, she dropped in the ingredients, and with a sizzling sound, Liam's heart jolted. He looked at her in disbelief. Her eyes were impossibly sincere. Reflected in them, aside from the shimmering fireworks, was only him. Liam's hand, resting at his side, clenched unconsciously. "But you've given me so much," he said, his voice low. "I have nothing to give you in return." It was the truth. Right now, besides his 300-odd million in savings, he had nothing. The cost of this estate alone was a debt he could never repay. Through their constant contact these last few days, Cassandra had begun to understand the meaning behind his words. She knew what he was really saying. She smiled. "Give me yourself." Liam was speechless. "You are the best gift," Cassandra said. She suddenly rose on her toes, leaned in, and planted a soft kiss on his lips. At that exact moment, another firework shot into the sky. It exploded, bathing the heavens in a sea of blue fire, illuminating the entire landscape. As the sparks rained down like a floral tide, their kiss was framed in breathtaking beauty. Evelyn, her eyes screaming, "I'm shipping this so hard," quietly took a few steps back, gesturing for the other servants to retreat and turning off the living room lights. The vast room was left to Liam and Cassandra. Another kiss ended. Cassandra's cheeks were flushed, her intense gaze locked on his. The living room was dark, but the exploding fireworks outside still clearly illuminated her face. Liam remembered the first time they met, on a day with a torrential downpour, the sky booming with thunder as she threatened him. In the flashes of lightning then, she had been imperious, cold as ice, a rose with thorns, beautiful and dangerous. Now, it was the same face, but this time, Liam saw a hint of shyness in her proud features. What am I going to do? It felt like he was on the verge of being completely conquered by this ruthless woman. The gift was too much. He took a deep breath. "Ms. Thorne." Before he could finish, Cassandra placed a finger on his lips. "Still calling me Ms. Thorne?" She blinked, her expression a mix of hurt and hope. The light touch on his lips sent a jolt through him. "Cassandra," he corrected himself, his voice deepening. "Yes," Cassandra responded emphatically, a slight curve to her lips showing her pleasure. "I'm listening." Liam hesitated, then chose to be direct. "What you've given me is too valuable. I don't think I can accept it. You think the house is too expensive? Then just think of it as me renting it to you," Cassandra said with a wink. Liam was taken aback, but followed her lead. "And the lease term?" "The lease term is I love you." Her declaration was stunningly direct. No flowery descriptions, no build-up. The sudden confession left Liam momentarily stunned. Before he could react, Cassandra grabbed his arm. "Come on, let's go play in the amusement park." She pulled him along, and the confession was left hanging in the air. Seeing her shyness, Liam didn't press the issue. It was clear Cassandra had put a tremendous amount of thought into this. A carousel, a Ferris wheel, all the classic rides were there. "What do you want to ride first?" Cassandra asked, turning to him. "The carousel," Liam decided after a moment. "Okay," she agreed, leading him to the ride. The massive carousel was like a spinning, multicolored disc, its lights flashing. As the machine started to move, Liam saw Cassandra on a horse behind him. She looked like a perfect goddess, her gaze locked on him. Liam understood then. She had fallen completely in love with him. But what could he do about it? The carousel was the cruelest game in the world. You spun in circles, forever chasing, forever seeing each other's backs, but always separated by a distance you could never cross. The Crimson Shell Hotel and Casino. Why isn't he back yet? Pacing in her room, Sylvia couldn't sit still any longer. She stood and threw open the door to the bedroom where Chloe and Leo were being held. "We don't know," Leo replied from the sofa, his eyes full of confusion. Fearing Sylvia wouldn't believe him, Chloe quickly added, "We're not with him all the time. I'm usually just hanging out with Leo." "You're lying." Sylvia snapped, pointing a finger at Chloe, her rage reaching its peak. "You absolutely know where he is. Tell me now, or you'll regret it." If it were any other question, Chloe and Leo might have hesitated. But this one they truly couldn't answer. "Ms. Shaw, we really don't know where my brother is," Chloe said with utmost sincerity. "I've been with Leo these past few days. It's useless asking us." Sylvia stared, finding it hard to believe. Her family had been in medicine for generations. She'd studied psychology. She knew that when people lied, you could always see it in the details, unless they were masters of deception. But Chloe and Leo's life experiences hardly qualified them for that. Yet, Sylvia couldn't detect a single trace of a lie on their faces. Could it be they really don't know? Sylvia calmed herself, studying them closely. The sudden chill in the room made Chloe and Leo shift uneasily. Sylvia's transformation was terrifying. The gentler she had been before, the more crazed she was now, willing to lock them up just to wait for Liam. She filled them with dread. After a moment of silence, Sylvia's eyes narrowed. Her voice became unervingly gentle. "All right, you two must be hungry." Chloe nodded instinctively, but before she could say anything, Leo grabbed her wrist. "We're not hungry," he said, watching Sylvia warily. "How could you not be? It's been all day. You have to eat something," Sylvia said with a manufactured smile, gesturing to a bodyguard outside. "Have the hotel send up some food." "Yes, ma'am." In no time, a spread was prepared. Sylvia personally brought the trays in, her eyes glinting as she placed the food in front of them. Seeing the suspicion on their faces, she reassured them, "Go on, eat. I'm only keeping you here so you can't contact Liam. I won't neglect your basic needs." The aroma of exquisite food filled the air. Staring at a plate of braised short ribs, Chloe's lips moved, and she swallowed unconsciously. Leo was the same. They had been exploring the nearby food streets, saving their appetites for today, but now they were trapped here. They were starving, and the food was impossibly tempting. Summoning their willpower, they exchanged a look and refused to pick up their chopsticks. Sylvia's eyes darkened slightly. She picked up her own chopsticks, put a piece of meat in her mouth, and chewed thoughtfully. "What's wrong?" "Afraid I poisoned it." Seeing her swallow, they finally gave in. As they dug in, Sylvia's smile widened. Soon the food was gone. As they were drinking water, Sylvia handed Chloe a phone. "Call Liam." Chloe froze. "Call him? Aren't you afraid we'll?" Leo also looked at Sylvia, baffled. "You won't say anything," Sylvia said, pulling over a chair and sitting down, radiating an air of complete confidence. Seeing their confusion, she smiled again. "If you dare say one wrong word, I can't guarantee you'll still be alive in 7 days." "You poison us?" Leo reacted instantly, staring at her in shock. Seeing Sylvia's confident expression, Chloe was even more confused. "But you just ate, too?" Sylvia smiled, holding up a small vial. "I have the antidote." Seeing their shocked and defeated expressions, she turned to Chloe, her tone a mix of coaxing and threat. "Be a good girl and make the call. Tell him you've been kidnapped and that he has 3 hours to get here. He has to come alone. If he dares to tell a single other person." Her finger lifted, pointing between Leo and Chloe, her eyes turning cold as death. "You and your precious Leo will die." Clatter. Chloe's hand trembled, and the phone fell to the floor, shattering. Sylvia gestured for a guard to bring another one. A new phone was placed in Chloe's hand. She bit her lip, looking helplessly at Leo. He looked just as lost. They had prepared themselves to be strong, to not be Liam's weakness. But in the end, faced with the cunning and powerful Sylvia Shaw, their attempts at self-preservation were laughably feeble. "Make the call." Leo's voice was hoarse. He looked at Chloe, his eyes full of pain. They had no other choice. Chloe nodded and dialed Liam's number. "Put on speaker," Sylvia commanded. Chloe had no choice but to obey. The moment the call connected, a cacophony of noise, crowds, music, the explosion of fireworks, blared from the speaker. It was obvious Liam was in a place of celebration and joy. Sylvia's face instantly darkened, a new layer of hatred hardening in her eyes. Chloe's voice trembled as she spoke. "Brother." "Chloe? What's up?" Liam's voice came through, slightly muffled. Hearing his familiar voice, Chloe's nose tingled, and her eyes welled up. "Leo and we've been kidnapped. They said you have 3 hours to get back here, or else." To her surprise, Liam didn't sound shocked at all. His reply was eerily calm. "Kidnapped, huh? By who?" He sounded as if he'd been expecting it. Sylvia couldn't take it anymore. She had been searching for him so desperately, and he had the nerve to be so calm. and she could hear the music of an amusement park in the background. Who was he with? It could only be Cassandra Thorne. She snatched the phone from Chloe's hand and snarled into it. I kidnapped them. Sylvia Shaw, your fiancé, the one you abandoned. Chloe and Leo flinched, their eardrums nearly bursting from her scream. A moment later, Liam's voice came back. What? It's really loud over here. The signal's bad. I can't hear you. Whatever it is, we'll talk tomorrow. You and Leo have fun, okay? And then he hung up. Listening to the dial tone, Chloe and Leo stared at each other. You can't blame my brother for that, right? He said he didn't have a signal. Chloe offered weakly, only to see Sylvia clench the phone in her fist and hurl it against the floor. Another phone was destroyed. Leo swallowed hard, glanced at Chloe, and spoke up. Ms. Shaw, how about this? You give Chloe the antidote, and I'll stay here as your hostage. Leo, no. Chloe cried out instantly. If we stay together. I'm not letting you stay here alone. Leo grew agitated. Chloe, listen to me. If something happens, it can't be you. Because, he mumbled, his face turning red, but he couldn't bring himself to say why. Enough. Sylvia, already on edge, practically jumped at the sight of them. Were they deliberately trying to make her look like the villain in their tragic romance? I'm not giving you the antidote, she snarled, her voice sharp and final. Right now, you'd better just pray he comes back tomorrow. If the deadline passes, you both will die. I, Sylvia Shaw, always keep my word. She shot them one last venomous look and stormed out of the room. Still unsure what poison she'd used, but now fully aware they were dying, Chloe lost all her previous spirit. She slumped against the sofa, looking helplessly at Leo. Leo, what kind of life is this? I finally get into a good college, find someone I like, and it turns out he's my actual brother. Then I find out I'm the granddaughter of. Wait, no, 3 of the 4 families. Chloe felt dazed. The constant upheavals had left her future feeling bleak. She had sworn to stand with her brother, but in the end, she had just become his weakness again. Maybe she never should have acknowledged her family. Leo's face was also filled with confusion. The joy of his sudden wealth and the happiness of spending all his time with Chloe had numbed his thoughts. He hadn't had a moment to really process anything. Now, trapped here by Sylvia, they were both forced to cool down. He looked at Chloe, listening to her, and sighed. You're actually incredibly strong. If all this had happened to me, I probably would have broken down a dozen times by now. To outsiders, it looked like Chloe was living a life of luxury, welcomed back by 3 of the most powerful families and given a stake in a landed fortune. But who knew the truth? She was a pawn, a piece to be used to control Liam. The moment she was accepted back into the Landon family, her life was no longer her own. Chloe's eyes grew heavy. Maybe we should run to... How? We're poisoned, Leo reminded her. The Landons probably don't know Sylvia found us yet, Chloe reasoned, her chin resting on her hand. And Sylvia is so obsessed with my brother, and we're the most important people to him. She won't actually kill us. It took Leo a moment to follow her logic. He looked at her, amazed. At critical moments, Chloe always managed to hit the nail on the head. So we wait for my brother to come back tomorrow. After Sylvia gives us the antidote, we run. It doesn't matter where, as long as they can't find us for a while. Chloe blinked. It was the best plan she could come up with. Leo's face fell. What about our families? Our families, right? They're still in New York City. Chloe realized with a jolt. That was Landon territory, the easiest place for them to be targeted. She frowned, thinking, the Landons, they wouldn't stoop that low, would they? Her voice lacked conviction. If Sylvia was willing to kidnap and poison them, it meant the Landon family was capable of the same. There's no point talking about it now, Leo sighed. We just have to wait for Liam to get back and figure it out then. The estate. The massive fireworks display lasted for a full half hour. Not only did Liam get his fill, but so did the streamers on the bridges and the countless viewers online. The show was more spectacular than a New Year's Eve celebration. Who was that on the phone? Cassandra asked, as they stepped off the carousel. She strode up, linking her arm with Liam's. Her face was full of smiles, but her eyes held a hint of a threat. Liam didn't plan on hiding it. Chloe, he said simply. Oh, Cassandra replied, glancing at the time. She added, her tone dripping with passive aggression. It's past 10. What's she calling you for so late? She blinked, the picture of innocence, but the jealousy in her voice was unmistakable. Knowing she was jealous, Liam couldn't help but smile. The queen of jealousy, are we? You're even jealous of her. Damn right I'm jealous. This time, surprisingly, she didn't deny it. She knows you're with me, and she still calls this late. Who knows what her intentions are? Seeing her chattering on, Liam found her unexpectedly cute. He chuckled, teasing her. Come on, Cassandra. If we actually got married, she'd be your sister-in-law. You'd be jealous of your own sister-in-law. So what if she's my sister-in-law? If my own sister, Riley, dared to talk to you for more than 2 minutes, I'd ship her off to Indonesia. No one was allowed to get too close to Liam but her. He was hers, and hers alone. After her forceful retort, she saw the knowing look in Liam's eyes and instantly backtracked, her voice softening. Well, it's not that no one could talk to you. It's just if something's going on, you should tell me, right? Otherwise, I get anxious. Her voice grew quieter, her words an expression tinged with a hint of surrender. For some reason, Liam didn't like seeing her like this. If being in love meant she had to lose parts of herself, what kind of relationship was that? He gently cupped her face, his gaze softening. Cassandra, you don't have to be like that. If something is wrong, I will always tell you. You don't have to suppress yourself for my sake. His voice was like magic, instantly calming her. The last part of the sentence exposed the very worry she'd been harboring. Her cheeks instantly flushed a deep crimson, the blush spreading to the tips of her ears. Her icy features were now painted with shyness. What are you talking about? I'm not suppressing myself. Her eyes darted around, unable to meet his. Her voice dwindled to a mumble, her face as red as a cherry. She bit her lip and quickly changed the subject. So why did she call you? Liam let his hands fall and got serious. She said she and Leo were kidnapped. What? Cassandra froze, staring at him in shock. But Liam's reaction was surprisingly calm, a stark contrast to her own. It's fine. I used the bad signal excuse to brush them off. We don't need to worry about them. His placid response, in Cassandra's eyes, was clearly a front. What do you mean, don't worry? Cassandra grabbed his arm, frantic. Don't worry. I'll have Evelyn investigate right now. Don't. Liam stopped her. They're safe. You don't need to get worked up. His refusal of her help confused her. Was he just trying to act tough, so she wouldn't worry? You don't have to worry about me, she said hurriedly. They're your best friend and your sister. I love you, so of course I wouldn't let anything happen to them. You threatened me with Chloe before, didn't you? Would you have compromised if I hadn't? The accusation had boomeranged back at her. She defended herself hastily, muttering, It's not like I actually did anything to her. I even gave her a promotion and a raise. Realizing they were getting off track, she refocused. This isn't the time for that. I didn't order them to be taken. They could really be in trouble. I'm having Evelyn look into it. It's really not necessary. They'll be fine. Why? Liam sighed, his voice firm. Because the person who took them is Sylvia Shaw. Sil. Cassandra froze, then exploded. Is that woman ever going to give up? Using such dirty tricks to force you to her side. Does she need you to spell out, I'm not interested on her face? Liam said nothing. Just watch her calmly. Everything she was accusing Sylvia of, she had done herself. As her angry words hung in the suddenly quiet air, she felt Liam's searing gaze on her. Her expression faltered, and she bit her lower lip. I'm sorry. What are you apologizing for? I shouldn't have treated you like that before, Cassandra said, her voice heavy with a newfound understanding. I know now how disgusting that kind of behavior is. It's okay. It's in the past, Liam said, shaking his head. Seeing the remorse in her eyes, he couldn't help but comfort her. You didn't actually hurt her back then, did you? Cassandra didn't know what to say. After all the terrible things she'd done, here was Liam comforting her. Guilt bloomed in her chest, followed by a wave of gratitude. Her gaze fell on him, and it was as if he were bathed in a holy light. Then, how do you know Sylvia won't hurt them? That woman isn't simple. Even so, Cassandra couldn't help but warn him. The first time I met her, she used your past against me and had me completely fooled. She's far more cunning than you think. Liam's expression remained calm. He asked a single question. Cassandra, why were you so easily fooled by her back then? It took her a moment to realize what he was asking. Because I love you, she answered quietly. Love can blind people, Liam said with a faint smile. That one sentence stopped Cassandra in her tracks. So, she murmured, the pieces clicking into place. From the moment you got the call, you knew it was Sylvia, and you weren't worried at all. Because you knew she loves you and wouldn't hurt them. What else? Liam replied, his tone light. But his words stunned her. She looked at him in disbelief. So, in your eyes, love is just leverage? A reason for you to do whatever you want? Her question made Liam pause. From his perspective, her interpretation wasn't wrong. In fact, that was exactly how he saw it. The warmth between them vanished. Liam's expression turned cold. Isn't it? He challenged. You? Cassandra looked at him, speechless. What about me? Is my love for him also just leverage? Was all the affection he's shown me these past few days just a lie to manipulate my feelings? Seeing the devastated look on her face, Liam realized she had misunderstood. In the past, he wouldn't have bothered to explain. But Cassandra's surprise tonight had clearly taken immense effort. For that reason, this time, he chose to explain. Cassandra, after I learned about your feelings and Sylvia's, I tried to refuse you both. But neither of you seemed to care. So now I've decided to just coast. You don't respect my choices, so I'm forced to use your feelings as leverage. His voice was grave, his expression more serious than she had ever seen it. A relationship is supposed to be an equal exchange, isn't it? His explanation was like a key unlocking a door in her mind. Her brow, which had been furrowed in worry, relaxed. A smile spread across her face. Yes, you're right. She stepped closer, hooking her arm through his. But you said I didn't respect you. I don't do that anymore. And the fact that I love you is true. You have the right to refuse me, and I have the right to keep pursuing you. It was a shameless argument, but the logic was sound. Whether she pursued him or not was her choice. Why did he have to interfere? He laughed. So, how else do you plan on pursuing me? Cassandra froze, a series of strange images flashing through her mind. A blush crept up her cheeks. She tugged on his arm, pulling him toward the house, muttering, Well, didn't you say you wanted to see me in a French maid's outfit? I already prepared it. What? Liam's face went slack. He glanced down at her shy expression. Wait, I was just joking that one time. She actually prepared it? You, turn around. No peeking while I change. Clutching the black and white maid's costume, Cassandra's cheeks were bright red. Is there any part of you I haven't seen? Liam asked, surprised. Why do I need to turn around? You're shameless. Cassandra huffed, flustered. She grabbed his shoulders and physically turned him to face the wall. Liam was forced to stare at the blank surface. The sound of rustling clothes behind him made him want to turn around several times, but he resisted, standing obediently. A minute passed, then another. Liam's legs started to go numb, but Cassandra still hadn't given him the signal. Are you done yet? He couldn't help but ask. Does it really take that long to change an outfit? What are you in such a hurry for? Cassandra's indignant cry came from behind him. Liam scratched his head, confused, and fell silent. After another 10 minutes, he heard her mumble, I'm done. Her voice was quiet, laced with nervousness. Liam turned around. The first thing he saw were her long, pale legs, wrapped in thigh-high white stockings that squeezed her flesh ever so slightly. Above them was a frilly black and white dress, adorned with several white bows and a cat-paw-themed apron. The contrast was as jarring as seeing a lion draped in a kitten's skin. Liam was frozen. Here, help me put this on, Cassandra said. Her face flushed as she walked toward him, holding out a headband. She swept her long, dark hair over one shoulder, revealing the pale, perfect skin beneath. The scent of roses hit him, and his movements stiffened. To make matters worse, she was wearing high heels. With every step, the hem of her skirt swayed, and the heels clicked against the floor. High heels may have been invented for male nobility, but they had become a woman's weapon for a reason. They elongated the legs, and on Cassandra, whose legs were already impossibly long, the effect was devastating. Too far, dude. Seeing Liam's stunned expression, an unconscious smile touched Cassandra's lips. She suddenly reached out, planting a hand on the wall behind his head. What are you staring at? Am I so beautiful you're speechless? Beautiful was an understatement, but who boasts about themselves like that? A blush crept up Liam's neck, the heat as intense as a burning stove handle. Could you not be so confident? It's not that great. He muttered, the words an obvious lie. Cassandra could see right through him. His flushed face and darting eyes had already betrayed him. But she pretended to take him seriously, a wounded look appearing on her face. You don't think I look good? He was just joking, looking for something to say. Why did she have to take it seriously? He had fallen right into her trap. No, that's not it. He backpedaled frantically. You misunderstood. I was just kidding. You look good. Really good. Good enough to wear every day, she purred, rising on her toes and leaning in until their faces were inches apart. I'll wear it just for you. Only you get this privilege. When had she become such an expert at this? 1,000 ants seemed to crawl over Liam's skin, an unbearable itch that ignited a fire deep within him. The closer she got, the stronger the intoxicating scent of roses became, fanning the flames of his excitement. Why is your face so red? Are you hot? Cassandra blinked, feigning innocence, as she reached up and touched his cheek. Her cool hand on his burning skin brought a rush of clarity. Wait a minute. Who's in charge here? He suddenly grabbed her wrist. As she stared at him in surprise, he smirked. You're right. It's you. You're making me hot. Cassandra's lips curved into a triumphant, unrestrained smile. That's exactly the effect I was going for. A knowing look flashed in Liam's eyes. Then you'll get what you want. He suddenly bent down, hooked an arm under her knees, and swept her off her feet. Cassandra didn't struggle. A happy, contented smile played on her lips. On the short walk to the massive bed, her free hand was already misbehaving, hooking into the collar of his shirt, her fingers tracing patterns against his skin. Her touch was like a flint, striking sparks with every movement. If you keep moving like that, I can't guarantee I won't drop you, Liam growled through gritted teeth. Cassandra was unfazed. If you drop me, she taunted, it just means you're not strong enough. All right then. This woman was impossible. Liam's jaw tightened. He forced himself to endure it, placing her gently on the bed. The short walk had left him covered in a thin sheen of sweat. Not from exhaustion, but from pure, white-knuckled restraint. You still haven't put this on me, Cassandra said, leaning back against the headboard and holding up the headband she was still clutching. Liam took it from her. She gathered her long hair, lifting it up and revealing the elegant line of her jaw and her long, swan-like neck. It was as flawless as white jade, but it was missing something. A little decoration. Don't worry, Liam thought to himself. The master artist is about to add some finishing touches. He gently bent the headband and placed it behind her ears. Staring at her, now perfectly attired, Liam stroked his chin. Something's still missing. What's missing? Cassandra asked, a look of confusion on her face. Liam frowned, then spotted the gilded box for the costume on the floor. He bent down, rummaged through it, and pulled out a small, delicate pink bell. Yes, this is it. He held up the bell by its ribbon, dangling it in front of her. A look of understanding flashed in Cassandra's eyes. She boldly swept her hair aside, turning her head to meet his gaze. Well, you can tie it for me. My pleasure, Liam replied with a grin. He carefully tied the ribbon around her neck, finishing it with a small, perfect bow. The crisp dinkling of the bell echoed in the room. The smile in her eyes deepened, becoming unabashedly wanton. Well then, she purred. Let's see what you're made of. Let's see which is louder tonight, this or